Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Baka Podcast.
Baka.
It's amazing how every time you open your mouth, you prove you're an idiot.
Hello, everybody. Yes, this is Baka. Yes, this is an anime podcast where every 2 weeks we watch a new anime and then come here on this podcast to talk about it, like pretending we're a book club that doesn't like to read. And then we turn the discussion over to you. Okay, we had to get that out of the way because there's a lot to talk about in this podcast. We probably one of the most popular animes of all time. The name was almost as synonymous as Dragon Ball Z itself is Naruto. But that series ended, and now there is a legacy to be carried on, and we, probably the most entitled to carry that on, we decided to watch. I decided to watch. I made everyone watch this, and I probably owe you all an apology, but we'll get to that in a minute. We watch Boruto, Naruto Next Generations, the sequel series to Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. I sure hope I say his name right. It doesn't matter. Look, to talk about this and help me with name pronunciation, I have two co-hosts. First off...
Wrong. We're not helping you with pronunciations.
It's more fun just to poke fun at you, though.
Yeah, they're a bunch of Genin level nincompoops who are going to help me out.
Like the highest level, right?
First off, we have the Jinchuriki to my Ninetales, because I'm inside him. Jeremy, how are you?
Oh, God. Well, I was doing well. Yeah. Actually, I have been playing a ton of Shadow of Mordor and something other than XCOM 2, or actually alongside it. And it still had to make its name in there, though.
How are you liking it?
I'm actually liking it a lot. At first, I didn't quite catch on at how vital it is to shoot the guy in the stronghold that's running with like a flame symbol over his head. So I kept getting wiped out by like 4 captains within like the first hour of the game, and as soon as Jason informed me, shoot that guy, shoot that guy in the head.
Yes.
And now it's been fantastic, and I've got just about all the war chiefs and all the captains because I'm a completionist when it comes to this stuff, and it's a blast.
Let me go on to our other host, the reverse harem of my sexy no jutsu, Jason. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
You don't even know if you are offended.
No. Still trying to figure out what a reverse harem is.
Well, that's where it's all dudes, and the main character is the important woman. So is he the main character or one of the dudes?
Well, okay, so since we watched Naruto's one of his greatest powers is the sexy no jutsu, his ability to turn into a sexy-looking character to distract his enemy. And a reverse harem is what he uses on women. So he is my 12 gorgeous men trying to distract me.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Absolutely.
My wife has been gone on a business trip into California, so I've had the house to myself, and as glorious as I thought that was going to be, it's actually been one of the most stressful things ever because not only do I have to keep my full-time job, I have to take care of 3 children. So that's been adventures and babysitting.
No hooks.
But I've also been trying to do a little reading on Heroes of the Storm, because as you two know, we play it quite often, and coming from League of Legends, I'm trying to get a better grasp on decision making in the moment. I'm trying to get a good feel for where to be, why, and at what time. It's always about time, because if you're late to a fight, well, now the fight's over and you're alive, but your team's dead.
And they hate you. And you've been reported.
Where were you?
Exactly.
Why would you first pick Valera? That's a very inside joke for all of you.
Yes.
Yeah. I still think you're better than us, so it's fine.
I'm not sure about that, but how's Troy doing?
I am Troy, and I am good. I watched the second season of Ash versus Evil Dead, and while one or two episodes had the most disgusting things I've ever seen, ever, like a man's head inside an orifice opened up through a dissection, and while part of that dead body was attacking him, like, no, it's nasty.
Wow.
Yeah. And everything that you think should go along with that was along with that. And they pulled it off. Good for them. I'm
still trying to process what you just told me.
Yeah, I closed my eyes through that scene. Evil Dead's usually pretty disgusting, and that pushed me to my limit. So, congratulations.
Take it to the limit.
The character of Ash, played by Bruce Campbell, it doesn't get much better. Big
He's
doofus.
Still playing it?
Yes, and he still plays it perfectly. And wow. I love that man.
That's cool.
The ending of season 2 kind of ran into a very anime problem of rushing the ending. Like, hey, we need to wrap up all these strings in 30 seconds. So, we time warped. Like, they literally time warped off screen. And I'm like, how did you time warp? You didn't have a way of time warping. Didn't matter. Anyway, we need to talk about Boruto.
Do we, though?
We do. So for those of you who were smart and didn't watch Boruto along with us, here is our pre-spoiler review, so you can decide if you want to watch it. You shouldn't. Here you go. Anyone? Do I have to literally assign roles?
Usually you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like watching you guys flounder.
That's what it is. Okay.
It is really tough for me to explain because it's like, if I have to put it on a singular scale, no, I didn't like it. But the problem is that it's literally filled with enjoyable moments of heartfeltness, interesting plot points, heartstring tugs, places I actually cracked a smile, if not smirked a bit. I think there was one chuckle in there. And you've got all these great moments, and it just does not come together as a good anime. Also, I come from the camp of not knowing Naruto. I didn't watch it. I watched I saw a couple shows with my son here and there. I also didn't watch the Boruto movie. And after watching this anime, I don't want to. So it's
which is a shame. That makes the Boruto movie a victim of its own anime, because that's actually a pretty decent anime shonen movie. So it's too bad.
Yeah. So I actually went ahead and watched the movie too, just to get a little bit more of an idea of what I was getting into. Of course, I watched the movie afterwards, though. So, I have to agree. The anime, this season of it at least, and who knows, maybe later seasons will improve, but this season was a very much introductions to everybody. Let's get through the kerfuffle of how we turn all the bad guys into good guys kind of thing. And that just, it had its moments that were entertaining, but overall, it's just kind of a middle-of-the-road anime. I'd say maybe if you've exhausted other options that you're interested in when it comes to shonen, if you're at all holding this up next to another shonen, give the other shonen a try. Watch a season of it first. Then come back if you're bored with it and give it a shot. But it's not anything to prioritize.
So for me, I was really let down by this season. I started watching this before we had this assigned. I was excited for a sequel to Naruto. This is the kind of thing that is one of my favorites. I love watching heroes live past their happily ever after and adventures not ending. I love that theme, and I love it when it happens in Star Wars. That's why I love Star Wars continuity stories. Like, I love seeing Han Solo raise kids and then dying. Look.
Spoiler.
You know what? We're past the statute of limitations on that. But I really think Boruto Dragon Ball GT'd this. That is probably my best comparison.
That's fair.
Where if Naruto was Dragon Ball, Shippuden was Dragon Ball Z, we had gone along with this ride of maturing with the series, and then you come in with this new series, you decide to go back to kindergarten. And a big question we're going to ask tonight is, who is this anime for? Was it for new users? Because there's a lot of inside references. There's a lot of returning characters who don't get their full backstory explained, and we're supposed to understand their motivations. But at the same time, you took us all the way back to square one, I feel, in maturity level of like the darkness of the series. You know, we went from a shinobi war to parkour to elementary school. So I don't think this carries the legacy of Naruto. I want to say one more thing, though. I did go watch the early episodes of Naruto. This is probably a better first season than Naruto's first season. Naruto starts off very weak, I think. And so that is the one kudos that I went back and like Naruto didn't have his first battle till like 6 or 7 episodes in. This at least had some action thrown in before that. The pacing's a little better than the original Naruto first storyline, I think.
I was kind of wondering how it would stand up next to Naruto's first season.
When I watched Boruto, I was like, man, you are not hitting the bar Naruto set. And I think it was rose-tinted glasses of the past, because I went and watched those first couple episodes. And I'm like, oh, man, this is a slow pacing, and it's taking a long time to get anything to happen. I fell asleep.
Wow.
So we'll call that the non-spoiler. I think that's as fair as I can be for how I felt, for sure. And before we go to the spoiler part, I do want to say this was directed by Noriyuki Abe, who is the director on Bleach, not Naruto. So maybe that had some changes in it.
Did either of you watch Bleach?
I watched the first season of Bleach. No.
I watched a lot of Bleach.
This doesn't taste like Bleach to me. Like, okay, that's really a weird thing to say. This doesn't seem to have much in common with Bleach to me. In the character interactions, the introduction, the pacing. I actually find that really interesting to hear that it's the same director. I would never have seen a connection.
I disagree in one aspect. The humor was nearly identical.
That's possible.
I kind of see that, and I think the pacing actually might be. I feel like in the first, and again, this might be rose-tinted glasses. In the first storylines of Bleach, he's having a fight almost every episode, a small skirmish.
But they were in the first season. They were jam-packing characters into every single episode.
Was that different?
Well, they kind of did that here,
but they didn't do backstory. They didn't do backstory. Is the thing.
Right. Okay. Well,
maybe it's just been too long. Yeah, it could be rose.
Well, they're too young to have backstories, right?
It's just something to keep in mind. I thought it was interesting because I thought for sure when I looked up these names, I would see the director for Naruto when I clicked on the Wikipedia link.
Right.
That wasn't the case. The other director was Hiroki Yamashita. He didn't have a link to click on, so I don't know what he did. And the studio is, I believe it's Pierrot, Pierrot. They did Naruto, but they also did Tokyo Ghoul. So if you're a fan of Tokyo Ghoul, there's no way this is the darkness of Tokyo Ghoul if that's what you're into. So
look elsewhere.
Yeah. From there, we now go to our spoiler section. We're going to talk in depth about this anime. We watched 14 episodes. Now, we messed up when I announced this anime. I said 13. So if you have one more to go watch, sorry.
Or don't.
I did tweet it. I tried to help. I tried to catch it. But yeah, it's 14 episodes. I imagine if anyone watched the 13, they're like, that's a weird place to stop, Troy.
Yeah.
So you probably went to 14. I'm probably
set
fine.
in stone.
No one's mad at me. Right. Let's go ahead and start. The first thing I want to do is talk about this opening scene. Now, spoiler warning. We're going to spoilers. This anime starts with Boruto standing on a cliff, grown up, looking kind of scarred, tattooed, and about to fight an evil villain. They're sideways. They're obviously very powerful. He activates his eye, the tattoos glow on his body, and we get the sense that maybe Naruto is dead or injured, and they're declaring like the ninjas are over, and Boruto's like, "No, I'm a ninja." And then it goes, "Hey, let's go back several years to when I was in kindergarten."
So are ninja and shinobi the same? Is it just two terms referring to the same?
Yes.
Okay, profession. Got it.
Now, I didn't let Jeremy ask lore questions for 2 weeks.
So you guys are going to have to endure that.
So yes, and you know him. He has to know
I have
the
lore
background.
questions.
Because I wanted to see how much he could figure out as a new person. So get ready for that.
See, XCOM 2 has a shinobi class, and it's not quite a ninja, I wouldn't say. So
Yeah, that's what everything should be framed by. That
So, never mind.
like, can we talk about the scene? Guys, thoughts on this scene? Kind of a big
I actually
deal.
really like this scene. It hooked me when I saw this, especially how he's got the scar over his right eye, and you think, oh man, he lost his eye in a fight. And then when he gets serious, just like always, his eye opens and it's reverse color, like super dark blue where it should be white and white where it should be blue. Very cool. Don't have any idea what it does at this point, but he apparently just got serious. And
It should be noted, eyes are easily transferable in this world. Like,
wait, what?
People pop out their eyes and give them to other people all the time. Like,
Are you serious?
all the time.
Okay, wow. I don't know what to say to that.
Also, there's going to be a ton of spoilers for Naruto. There's no way to avoid that. If you haven't seen Naruto, you probably shouldn't be watching a Boruto thing anyway.
Unless you just don't care about Naruto.
Unless the podcast made you.
So
yeah, that's true.
I gotta handle this, or else
I don't feel like we should just move past this. I don't feel like you're gonna
So
anything I say.
I do need to get this one out of the way real quick.
Okay. It's a lot of eye talk when we haven't even touched
No. This is the moving past that. Both Naruto and his little sister have the marks of the cat.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too.
I knew someone was going to ask that. I looked it up. They're not actual whiskers. They're whisker marks. They just have lines on their face.
No. I know that. That's not my question. Now the reason Naruto has those lines on his face is because he's got the nine tails inside him, right?
Not exactly. No. Okay. Some more spoiler for Naruto. Naruto's mom had the nine tails inside her when she became pregnant, and some of the chakra from the nine tails infused into the baby and thus gave him some fox traits. Now his DNA has some whisker marks in it from that chakra, and he's passed it on to his children.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with nine tails.
Right. There are more than one
legacy.
Jinchuriki. No one else shows physical characteristics of their tailed beast inside them. It's only because Naruto was conceived while his mother held the nine tails inside her.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. Now, in Shippuden, doesn't he summon nine tails though?
Yes, he can do that now. Him and the nine tails have become buddies.
So he didn't have it, but now he has it. Let's move on.
What did you guys think of Boruto, the character?
Not real fond of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very
He felt like a young Goku.
Sort of. I mean, I guess I could see that. He failed too much to be a young Goku. Young Goku seemed to always win for me. But as far as his approach to people and his always, at least in the season, his always idealistic approach and his determination and sheer willpower, always winning the day, it was everything that I find boring in a main character.
I definitely don't think he's as interesting as Naruto was as the main character. I did like that he is the polar opposite of theme, whereas Naruto was a parentless outcast. Boruto is a overpopularized superhero son and doesn't want that heritage. He lives in the shadow of his father because his father was, the village hero, whereas Naruto had to go from person everyone hated to village hero. Very different journeys ahead of them, and I like that theme difference. But the character himself was a blander version of Naruto to me.
I think, and that's also one thing that threw me off, was everyone's kids were a copy of like a different version
And
copy
a less
of their...
interesting copy. We'll get to
Yes.
another
And-
character in a moment that really disappointed me.
Yeah, and that's the problem is like it would have been cooler if they tried to actually tell a new story with Naruto and his buddies as a back burner thing instead of trying to meld the two and basically have literal carbon copies of their parents. Like I understand, hey, you have some traits, or oh, they're gonna act like them a little bit, but it's like, come on.
I think my biggest disappointment with Boruto is that there's no Hinata in him. Hinata was like the shyest kid you ever met, and he is pure his dad in far as being boisterous and braggy, and no timidness from his mother at all got in him.
I did think that his behavior and just how much he was a polar opposite of his dad, or at least how much he disliked his dad, was a little bit stronger than the setting seemed to convince me. Yeah. Naruto doesn't seem like that bad of a dad. Boruto seems like he's very whiny, just altogether. Like, I mean, just being able to see what his dad's dealing with. And I realize that it's kind of made clear that he doesn't fully understand what his dad's job is. He just thinks his dad is a boring guy that sits behind a desk doing nothing all day.
Especially, and I point this out a couple times, like, especially since there's not a war, what could you possibly be leading our country to do?
Yeah. But there's so many things in peacetime that require a lot of attention as well. And I mean, otherwise they wouldn't have this unified progression that they're having right now in their technology and in whatever else is happening in that Hidden Leaf village. So I kind of thought that in order for him to behave that way, he kind of comes off as being very quick to make decisions, quick to make conclusions, and not very smart. Just in a general, being able to evaluate a situation and try to look through his dad's eyes and see what he's doing. He just doesn't have that capacity.
But that's a normal 10-year-old. And I thought I gave a hand wave for that. Because
maybe. Yeah. I don't remember being that way, but I've never had a 10-year-old
nobody
kid, so
I don't think anybody on the planet had your childhood.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
There is a theme in Boruto's character that is definitely done better in the movie, that they do a little bit in the anime, and I don't think they did it well enough, that he is this naturally gifted, highly talented, highly smart person. Like, he goes up and he sees a math problem and he's like, bam, I got it. And they're like, that's not the right way to do it. He's like, don't worry about it. This is way better. And then the teacher makes it harder. He's like, oh, no, come on, I can't.
Uh-huh.
And so there's this thing, like, everything's easy for him, and he's always good when it's easy. But as soon as it's hard, he's quitting, he's cheating, he doesn't want to try. They only mention it once or twice in the anime, but it is a theme of his character, and very much a opposite of his father, who, when he ran into problems, would literally work himself nearly to death to figure out ways around it if he couldn't straight go through it. I wish they had played with it more, especially in this first season, and especially after seeing the movie and how much they bluntly bring it out.
Mm-hmm.
And the anime really only touches on it hardly ever. Maybe it has to have him be more heroic throughout all these conflicts that happen. But if you want me to care about that aspect of his character, which is a big aspect, you gotta bring it up more.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see it in his interactions with Iwabe and with several of the other characters. He is a leader, and he's a determined person who is trying to always make people be better. And if he has such a hard time making himself do that, if it's ever hard, I find it difficult to believe that he has the empathy and the compassion to be able to drive others to do that. I would think that he needs to be able to do that already for himself. So that's kind of the root of it for me. But it'll be interesting to see as we talk about it.
So before he even gets to the academy, he can do shadow clones. Is that a precedent set in Naruto?
That's his dad's specialty.
I understand that's his dad's specialty, but why is he able to do it before he even goes to an academy?
Was Naruto able to?
Naruto was actually very terrible at shadow clones, but it was a very basic taught in elementary school ability. It's not that complicated of an ability. What's complicated about shadow clones is amount, quantity, because it's hard to, as you saw, like one punch makes them disappear because it's hard to sustain them. The fact that he can make 3 is impressive. But the hand sign's very simple and the jutsu is pretty simple. And Naruto was even made fun of as a kid because he couldn't do 1 well. Like it came out like bleached looking and wiggly and wavery. He couldn't make a good copy of himself.
That's cool.
And then the whole first episode of Naruto is about him learning the super shadow clone jutsu. And because he has so much chakra, he could make 100 well. And that became that's his thing. That's Naruto's thing is he uses clones so much. Boruto can only make 4. He doesn't have his father's natural gift for it, but he is better than most.
So is that why at the end of the anime when he's like, hey, I'm going to do this special attack, and they say, whoa, no, don't, because you literally overflow a chakra. So that's a thing?
For Naruto, yeah.
That was actually
Naruto's thing?
It's actually a different thing. Sorry. Oh man, there's so much Naruto lore that they do not explain.
So does Naruto like overflow
Naruto's
a
Super Saiyan form is literally just overflowing with, like, he makes chakra clothes, like he's pure chakra. He can make a 9 tails out of chakra to ride.
Wow.
He just emits chakra.
Wow.
So is chakra like chi in DBZ?
Yes.
That's the impression I got.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But Naruto has like a mastery over it because he can just
Not only does
abundance.
Naruto has an abundance naturally, but he also has the 9 tails inside him, which also has an abundance. So he has.
But he didn't always have the
tail
9 tails in him.
Since he was a baby, he has.
No, you said that genetically his mother had it, and he was conceived.
Yes.
Okay, so
something else happened to put it inside of him.
And then he was born, and then the 9 tails was released, and it attacked, and his parents put it inside of him as a infant.
Okay,
interesting.
You left that detail out. So
there's a lot. There's so much. I can't touch on all of it.
So, like, how many episodes are in Naruto and Naruto Shippuden combined?
Like over 400, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how much lore we're dealing with here.
Right. Yeah.
So just to get this out of the way, 9 tails. Yes, 9 tails will destroy like the world, right? If it's released.
Not anymore. He's a good guy now.
Talking no jutsu.
Why'd they put him in the baby then?
He wasn't a good guy then.
He was a bad guy at the time. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Jinchurikis were a prison for him, and he's been in prison his whole life, which is kind of the reason he went evil. It's like, humans are nothing but prisons for me, so I hate them. And then Naruto was like, hey man, I get you have feelings too. That's cool. And then they decided to work together and become friends.
Wow.
It's more complicated than that. I mean, it was a payoff of the demons always trying to overtake Naruto, and Naruto literally beats it down inside him, conquers, and is like, I will take your chakra as I choose, and you will no longer be able to take control of me. And then after that is like, you know what though? You're a cool dude.
Wow.
And it's like, I'm willing to fight for you, and I'm willing to trust you, and you should fight for us too. And he eventually convinces him to be a good guy.
Fist bump. Boom.
Yeah. Well, actually, that literally happened.
What? Okay.
Naruto's all about fist bumps.
So is that a theme throughout this entire thing? Is turning bad guys into good guys?
In Naruto, it was. That was Naruto's. That's his specialness. Is that through battle, his convictions could overtake your convictions and change your mind. We need to go on, guys.
I do have one final question regarding Boruto's clones specifically, because I haven't seen Naruto's clones.
Right.
Boruto has conversations with his clones. He sits around and talks to them, and they respond in kind. Is he just projecting like a person talking to himself, or do they, because they even complain about how he treats them?
Yes, they do. Boruto's clones definitely show more personality than Naruto's did. I do believe there are moments where Naruto's clones would make commentary. A clone is literally a copy of your mind. It is like a little clone of you, and then when it disappears, that experience comes back inside of you.
Oh wow!
So you do experience with the shadow clone. So but I've never seen shadow clones be so aware that they are shadow clones and have like, I'm the shadow clone from the last time you used shadow clones. I didn't know that was a thing.
That is fascinating. And also his acrobatic ability with the clones, I have to say, that was awesome. How he would make clones appear and he'd leap off their feet and use their... But that means that they have substantial physics. Like, they actually have weight and they have... So how is it that they can punch something, but that same force directed at them causes them to disappear?
It's just damage, I think, unsettles the chakra and makes them dissipate.
So it must be that he's able to actually control the buildup of the chakra into the fist or wherever he's intending to strike with. And then if something strikes in an unexpected area, it goes through like a cloud.
They're a physical body. They are a real person. They just can't stay in the world very long because it takes chakra to maintain them. And so when they're hit, I believe the concentration is lost and they dissipate. I don't know the full details of that. I'm sure our listeners, if there's a Naruto fanboy listening, could definitely explain it better. It might
you guys, idiots, you don't understand.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm hearing.
Okay, so I watched all of Naruto. I haven't watched all of Shippuden. I've caught all the key moments of Shippuden. So if they explained it further in Shippuden, I wasn't there. And watching Naruto was a long time ago.
So it is okay to basically just say that ninjutsu is magic. Like it breaks all the laws of physics. It breaks all the rules of biology. It breaks. I mean, you can have like a chunk of a tree trunk appear because you say teleportation jutsu or something like that.
Yeah, they give anime explanations of like your body's aligned to elements and your chakra flows in certain ways to make certain jutsu easier or harder for you. But it's all anime hand wavy stuff to have superpowers, and everyone has their own superpower. My Hero Academia just says, hey, you're genetically predisposed to have this power. They say your dad taught you how to do this superpower.
Yeah, because there's some really weird stuff. Like there's a girl in here who can essentially make her hand or other body parts like grow really big and heavy and strong. And then there's a guy with insects coming out of his body, and they can make water just appear and shoot and stuff that like that seems to go beyond just the energy of the chakra, which I would associate more with energy projection and things like that you see in Dragon Ball Z, perhaps. But this is very interesting. It seems more like spells or something. They even have them like sealed in scrolls and they're written down.
Yeah, it is hard
like
to...
Seems like magic.
There's a whole lot of hard to explain it logically, for sure. Okay, so before we get into the story proper... thoughts on the character Naruto, who we don't get a ton of time with, to my disappointment. And I want to start off because, like I said, I really love seeing characters after the happily ever after. And my favorite thing is that they made Naruto not a great dad. I don't think he's as bad as Boruto thinks he is, but I like that it's not perfect. It's not like, I've mastered raising a son. It's like, this is hard. And as a parent, it's like, yes, it is. Thank you, Naruto. You can save the world, but raising a son is hard. Thank you.
Good luck.
So because I don't have a lot of background reference, I think one thing I appreciated about his character is when he knew something needed to be important, he never sent a clone. And there's a couple scenes, but one of those scenes that were memorable was he brought Mitsuki home. And it was a big thing for their family because Boruto's never brought a friend home. And Boruto showed up, but then it cuts to Boruto in the office.
Naruto.
Yeah, Naruto in the office with Sasuke. Shikamaru. And he's like, I'm on my way. And then this clone disappears. And then you realize that he's home, not in the office. And okay, that makes sense. He then got those memories from the clone when it disappeared. So it showed that when he needed to be somewhere important, that he didn't just send a clone; that he would actually show up himself.
It's very interesting. There is actually a scene that is beat for beat, almost the exact same thing in the movie, yet the opposite happens.
Yeah.
He's in the office.
You're thinking Little Girl's birthday?
Yep.
And the shadow clone dissipates and drops the cake because he didn't.
So I find that very interesting. I think he's completely overwhelmed and doesn't know what he is supposed to do. But yeah, I totally agree that when push comes to shove, he goes to wherever he thinks is most important, and his kids are sometimes on the top.
I really appreciated that So in the entire Naruto plot, Naruto says it 1,000 times. I'm going to be Hokage. I'm going to be Hokage. Every time he fights someone, they're like, no, I'll be Hokage. And he's like, no, I'm going to be Hokage. And we come here and he's like, he made it to Hokage and it is wearing him down and he is exhausted. And it's nice to see. There's just something real about your dreams are hard, even after you get them. It's not like you don't just reach a finish line and it's rainbows and unicorns. It's life is always something to work out. There's always an adventure. I love that.
So he's Lord 7th. Does that mean he was under Lord 6th before?
No, that's just mean he's the 7th Lord of the Leaf Village.
And
right.
It's not also like in the movie, the 6th makes an appearance and he doesn't look that old. So it doesn't seem like they live out their life as a Hokage. No,
you don't die. There's, I believe, only one Hokage. Well, I can't say that for sure. I know one Hokage died serving, and it was because he had to come back and be Hokage even after he had retired. And then, you pass on the mantle when you decide to retire. And Kakashi was Naruto's teacher, and he was the last Hokage.
So is there a reason why these guys are... I know they won a war, but why are they revered as gods?
The Hokage?
Like all of them, all the previous...
The 5 Kage? Is that how it's...
Yeah,
in the movie
leaders of their village.
Yeah, the ones with their heads inscribed on the sides of...
Oh, those are the 7 Hokage, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the impression I got, is those were the chiefs of the village.
Yeah, I mean, they're like the presidents, except for they were literally... I think they're like literally one of the most powerful ninja around, and that's why they get the job. Like, you can't just be a good guy and become Hokage. You have to be strong enough to defend the village from anything. When the village is under attack, it's the Hokage's job to take care of it.
There's a scene where they're in class and they've got Hokage head figures that they're drawing from, and it's like these dudes are basically worshipped.
Well, they're the presidents.
Yeah, I think it's their history.
Okay.
The people they're supposed to be most proud of.
That's fair.
And Naruto especially is a superstar. You gotta remember, he literally was saving the village from a teenage years, and he went from the outcast that nobody liked and everyone hated Naruto to their rock star superhero. So when he became a Hokage, he was a very popular Hokage. There's a reason when people see him on the street, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I've never even seen the Hokage. He's here! Yay!"
Well, I did see the movie where he saves the princess that can see the future.
Oh, I love that movie.
That was actually really good. I really enjoyed that one.
The ending of that movie gets me all emotional when he grabs her out of the darkness. Oh, so good. Sorry.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was expecting, that caliber of storytelling in Boruto, honestly.
I think Naruto does its movies better than its animes. I think I feel that way.
Well, the Boruto movie is worth watching, Jason. It's not fantastic. It's not like one that I think should be down for the ages. But I think that you would enjoy it.
If you like that Naruto movie, you would like this Boruto movie. I would say they're pretty close in caliber.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go real quick.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say, I really liked the parkour that the boys were doing through the city. In old Naruto, it was literally just like leap from roof to roof because they're so powerful, but they're not quite there yet, so they're actually having to do full parkour through the city. I liked the grace that it was animated with. Boruto, we meet him, we meet Shikadai, who is Shikamaru's son, and we find out that, they hang out together, they ride the train, and the first day of Ninja Academy is coming up. So the big thing is, like, since Naruto became Hokage, technology has burst forward through his rulings. Like, he has worked to make the technology come to the modern age. So now they have trains that get them around the city and everything's great. Boruto, on his way home, meets a nerd who's getting bullied, ends up saving him, and the nerd's like, yeah, I have to go to Ninja Academy too because my dad is making me, and this nerd's name is Denki. And Boruto's like, yeah, just stand up to your dad. Who cares what your dad says? I stand up to my dad. I don't care. But I have to go because my mom's about to find out I'm late. Which is a good scene. Denki does stand up to his father, gets a smack, is told, you need to be a strong man if you want to not be a ninja. because that's the whole thing. He's like, I don't want you to just be a nerd. You have to get strong. So when Denki leaves, this shadowy snake thing bites him, and he is cursed. The next day, Boruto sees the cursed Denki while he's parkouring his way to school, and Denki gets these bullies on the train. Is like, hey, I'm gonna kill us all, like crashing into another train.
So to be clear though, Boruto's the only one that can see this snake thing.
Right, and his eye changes every time he sees it. His eye, what Jeremy had described earlier of the reverse coloring. Mm-hmm. And so Boruto sees that he's got this weird shadow around him. He falls and he tries to save them, and he manages to snap Denki out of it, and they do save the train. And the bullies even end up helping, so it's all good. The bullies are put on the safe part of the train, and they're like, we're going to the school. And they crash during the opening ceremony, into the Hokage stone monument cliff wall, into Naruto's face specifically, and destroy it. And Boruto comes out and is like, yay, I am here. And poor Shikadai is like, oh, I told you not to do anything stupid.
Yeah. I thought that was actually nice, a nice arrangement they made there where he would crash into his father's face. I really enjoyed that.
There's even more theme to it and tied to Naruto than you think, because Naruto, because he was a village outcast, used to paint graffiti all over these faces as a kid for attention. So not only is this a step up, but he did it to his own father's face.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, that's really good.
Is Shikadai like a spitting image of his dad as far as like his personality?
He is, and I do want to talk about him because he super bummed me out, because Shikamaru was the super lazy genius, and Shikadai himself just seems like a diet version of that. Like, he's kind of lazy and he's pretty smart, but Shikamaru is one of my favorite anime characters of all times. I believe I've said that somewhere in this podcast before, because he was so lazy but also so genius. I've sent you guys videos of his battle with the woman who will be Shikadai's mom. Yay. The fangirl, who has a great scene in this anime. But Shikadai himself, like I said, he's just a not as vibrant or interesting character as his father was, and yet is still just a copy of him.
Yeah.
For uninitiated, what do you guys think?
He seemed very boring to me. Like, from the moment that I saw him, his catchphrase seemed to be "What a drag! What a drag!"
Yes.
And I kind of thought the same thing when I was watching him. It was like, what a drag.
Which was his father's catchphrase.
Was it? Okay, so it was a reference then, too. But he didn't seem to be as sincere as he wanted you to believe. Like, he still just constantly was getting himself involved in things. Like, he was so easy to push into activity. It didn't seem like it was a pivotal part of his character, which kind of left him with nothing.
You guys remember that scene I sent you of Shikamaru with that battle, and how it ends with him just being like, you know what, I give up. I've already thought 30 moves ahead, and I already realized I've lost, so I'm not going to waste my time trying. That would be stupid. And there's no scene for Shikadai like that lets you know like just how Shikamaru-y he is.
I don't want that, though.
Fair enough.
If I'm being honest about like the children of my favorite heroes of anime, like, I don't necessarily like Gohan was a good like diversion from Goku.
Yeah,
like he started kind of going down the same path, but then he was like, I'm gonna do school and I'm gonna become smart and I'm gonna become a really dumb superhero. Like that was nice. Like being a clone of your dad. Like, and I think Shikadai is going to be like the tactician of the show moving forward.
Which is what Shikamaru is, which is why he's in Naruto's office all the time.
Okay. Because, every single situation, it was Shikadai, like, planning out, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is what we need to do next. This is what's going to happen. Like, he was always playing it out. And Boruto was always willing to go along with his plans, showing the trust in the two. But was Naruto and Shikamaru friends when they were young?
Not really. I think there's a few scenes of them hanging out and they were young. Shikamaru was one of the nicer kids to him, but they were never close. They did end up doing a lot of missions together later, but that whole class ends up becoming close. So Shikamaru is just the smartest ninja from that generation.
Okay,
and that's why he's second to Naruto, because he's obviously I think he's making up for Naruto's weakness, which is Naruto's greatest strategy in a fight, but like long-term battle tactician is not his thing.
I think Shikadai has potential as a character. And actually, I think the majority of the humor came from his character. Thinking back, like, when did I find myself enjoying moments of humor?
As the straight man?
It usually involves Shikadai, like, this situation, or what have we done, or like, I told you not to go there. Like those kinds of situations usually revolved around him.
That's fair.
For his reaction.
That's interesting. A lot of my humor that I enjoyed actually came from the two albino kids. One of which was Mitsuke, and then the other one was, I don't remember his name, but he had the blonde hair and the overalls.
Oh, Ino Jin.
I hated both those characters.
Oh, I actually enjoyed both of them because they were so bored with everything and frustrated with everything in their own ways. Mitsuke very differently from the other character.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with Jason's of don't make them a carbon copy, but if you are going to make them a carbon copy, make them better.
Yes.
That's my only thing. I would have preferred Shikadai be his own thing, be his own interesting way. I didn't watch this being like, you better be Shikamaru too. At all. But they were making him Shikamaru, but a weaker, less intelligent, less lazy, just not as interesting version. And look, if I got to have one or the other, just do it well.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking, is coming at this from absolutely no history. I didn't remember the video that you sent, in all honesty. And I had no way to connect his behavior to his father. So for me, this was a brand new character and his behavior was all his own. And so it wouldn't have bothered me at all if he was the genius that behaved exactly like his father, because I have no anchor to attach that to. But they just didn't do a good enough job for a person who's coming to the series brand new. He's definitely diet boring.
The next episode has Boruto coming back from his suspension because he took all the blame, even though he really had nothing. He didn't cause any of it. It was the other guy. And when he comes back, he gets basically into a fight with Iwabe, because first he's the outclass of the class. That character you guys mentioned, Inojin, that comes up and tells him, "No, you're garbage." One thing we meet. You guys remember? And later we're gonna meet Sai, who's the cop. He's Inojin's father, and he was like that as a kid too. He was blatantly truthful with and no regard for people's feelings. That's just how he was raised. So that's what Inojin does. He comes up and he's like, "No, I'm not your friend. You're not a good person. I don't want to do anything with you."
Yeah.
But they end up having to fight with this bully kid, Iwabe, who is a flunky, right? So he's older than everyone. Was my understanding. Like, he'd been held back.
2 years at least.
Yes.
Yeah, held back for the past 2 years. And it's because while he is very powerful ninja for his age, the whole ninja academy has moved on to arithmetic and geography. Like, they have to learn rather than just be ninjas. And he's very frustrated that that's changed, because in the age of Naruto, when you just needed to be a strong ninja, he would have been a rock star. And now he is a flunky, and he sees Boruto as kind of the anti of what he believes in, because he wants to be like the Hokage, who he thinks was just powerful, and that's how he got where he was, and whereas Boruto is rejecting that kind of attitude. So they end up having this really big fight, and Boruto wins, and Inojin has to stop the fight from continuing when Iwabe decides to start cheating. But it kind of changes everyone's opinion of Boruto.
Mm-hmm.
And it even changes Iwabe's mindset because he realizes, okay, there is going to be more to the Age of Ninja now, and I need to get on that train if I'm going to keep doing this.
Yeah, I thought it was really funny, and maybe it was just in the sub version, but his line was, "I am uncool."
Yeah,
like,
we all watched the sub, right? I think it's the only version there is.
oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that just cracked me up.
What did you guys think of Iwabe? He was my favorite.
I thought, I don't know. He was a diet Vegeta.
I can see that. A very quick one episode Vegeta arc.
It would be like a one episode arc there.
It was so fast, and so like whenever a character is introduced, most people just don't care about that character because they just got introduced. And all of a sudden, next thing we know, he's Boruto's best friend. Or not best friend, but they're friends now. And it's like, okay. I was not invested in that storyline at all. Like, I could relate with the characters,
Okay,
but
so
I had zero investment.
For the most part, I agree, but this is the second episode, and I feel like this is what a lot of animes do for their first couple episodes. Is like, oh, I need to introduce these characters, so give them a quick mini arc. The next episode is the same thing, quick mini arc for a character that we just want to establish as a part of this world.
That's fine, but how about give him a little bit of character development where he hates Boruto for the next 3 episodes, but over the next 3 episodes, he keeps coming, just give him little flashes here and there to show like he's watching Boruto and he starts to come around, and then give him another like 5-minute story arc, like
it was artificially instantaneous,
and be like, hey, that moment of him trying to study could have endeared him to Boruto, and all of a sudden then they bonded as friends. That would have felt more organic. Instead, it was like, oh, you beat me in battle. We should be buddies.
I like that.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think it was around episode 7 or 8 or so that I mentioned to you guys in chat that this smells a lot like Sailor Moon episodes because everything is so encapsulated plot-wise. But the bad guy shows up and the bad guy's dealt with in one episode, and we're back to almost a reset with very minor changes in the overall story and continuity. And I do agree that it's an introduction to new characters and they have to deal with them, but it's almost like he deals with every new character the same way. They get in a fight and he has to encourage them to be a better person or beat them. And then the fight's over and he's won and they're redeemed, or they've changed their mind, or the monster leaves them. But it comes off very episodic that way.
Okay, so my question for both of you then is, again, I watched their earlier Naruto's just today before we recorded this. Would you prefer the Naruto style of a battle takes 3 to 4 episodes with flashbacks and all this stuff, but like nothing happens in the story because it takes so long to get through anything? And that's what Naruto did. And then I really appreciated that Boruto was like, yeah, we're going to deal with this problem now. We're just going to get it done. Every once in a while there was a thing that carried over from 1 to the second episode, but it's still, 2 episodes at most to deal with any problem, and we can move the story forward. I don't think they did it perfectly, but which of the 2 would you prefer here?
Are we limited to those 2?
Yeah,
right.
Okay. If we're limited to those 2, then I think I would prefer this because at least we can move on with the story.
Okay.
Go on.
Well, I was just going to say that with the other one, I think that you get so lost in the battles that it just becomes like Dragon Ball Z, where it almost comes off as filler instead of real development. I think that's a huge pitfall for those. Episodic versus filler. That's hard.
Right.
Filler episodes are a problem. And if my choices are between those 2, I would say neither. I'll watch.
You're just going to watch a different
yeah, right. I think this stuff can be more organic because, like I said, the first
I agree.
The first 8 episodes felt like slice of life with a little bit of battle in it. and that's the flavor of the anime. I get that because they're in school. They're 10-year-olds. We're trying to establish a backstory, right? But I don't know. If I had to choose between, interrupt a battle, have an incomplete episode of backstory, and then the next episode finish the battle, or these encapsulations, kind of like the battles.
Really?
I Bleach endeared me to the characters that way. Yeah, the battles took forever, and they were always interrupted, and I hated it. But at least I got to know the characters, and I got to know their motivations. And at the end of the battle, for instance, in Bleach, he fights the... God, I will never remember his name. I don't know why, because he was one of my favorite. The dude with the sword that can come apart, and it's a whip, and then he's got the gorilla snake guy.
I know who it is. I can't remember the name anymore.
Renji?
I want Renji, something like that.
Okay. Anyways,
sorry, Bleach fans.
Right.
I walked away from Bleach and set it ablaze and swore never to go back.
So in the first season, when they first meet and fight, they've had some backstory from before he was a Soul Reaper, and they fight, and they have a complete backstory and this whole arc, and then they finish the fight, and then they're not friends. They're not endeared to each other. Right. This is that's real storytelling, in my opinion. Let these relationships happen organically instead of I know you just tried to destroy the world, but we're cool. Fist bump.
Episode 3.
Wow, this is a rough one to get through.
Yeah, especially since we have 14 episodes. Really, almost nothing happens in episode 3. It is actually one of my least favorite episodes. Episode Lee introduces Metal Lee.
Oh, right, which just results in the same thing. Talk no jutsu, right? Fight, knock him out, and then
he knocks himself out.
Oh, did he knock himself out?
Yeah, because he tripped. He actually overpowers all their powers, but then trips and knocks his head. And
you don't want to see me when I'm not nervous.
Basically, he's a character who is super powerful at taijutsu, but if he's being watched, he gets so nervous that he screws up everything.
So what's taijutsu?
Martial arts.
Oh, so he's super good at the actual physical movements.
Right. So his father, and I believe he's the same as his father. His father could literally do no ninjutsu. His name was Rock Lee. And he is a fan favorite for sure. And because he couldn't do ninjutsu, he spent all his time training in just taijutsu, and he was so powerful that he could overcome other people's ninjutsu straight through strength and speed and martial arts.
So he's a Mace Windu of...
not so much. He'd be like a guy who could beat Jedi with no force powers.
Yeah.
Because he's so fast and so strong. But literally
So not Boba Fett.
Right.
The anti-pet.
He walks down the street doing hand push-ups or handstand push-ups every day. That's his life. He never stops training. So Metal Lee is very much a clone of Rock Lee, plus with this.
He even has the same haircut.
Yeah, he did.
Well,
but that's also an aspect of the character. That's how they did it. If you're doing our training style, you dress like me, you haircut like me, you have eyebrows like me.
Well, I actually thought that was a really interesting decision to make. That I'm not going to keep repeating it, but seeing that these characters, almost several of them, have their own style of art. Almost, I mean, obviously with this character, Metal Lee. Seriously, he's more like Lupin the Third or something. He has a completely different style of art. The way that they drew his eyes, the way they drew his hair, the lines of his face, the shape of his body, everything fits that other style of anime. But you also have something similar, I thought, and maybe it was just... Well, I got the impression some of the others just stood out. Maybe it's just character design for the others. Yeah. But they stood out as so different to me that they almost came across as a different art style. And I liked that a lot. I thought it helped to differentiate the characters and make them unique and their own. So I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah. I felt like this character was really lazy because he's so similar to his father. So I feel like that's too bad. But I mean, there's not much that happened in that episode besides that. Again, they enforce the idea that Boruto can see these with his magic eye.
It's almost like they're trying to find the formula and just repeat the formula to get the same success, and it's not going to work.
The next episode does have at least one interesting part in it. It ends up becoming this boys versus girls race. We started over, hey, that was the last roll kind of thing. And they had just learned about summoning jutsu. And so at the end of this race, when the boys and the girls are fighting to get to the top of the school, Boruto gets there first, and then the girls show up and they're beating him down. So he decides he's going to summon something. He's already learned he can't because he has no blood contract with an animal to summon them. But he's like, I'm going to summon it anyway. And he summons this white snake monster thing that attacks the girls, and they end up having to work together to fight it and beat it.
That was new.
Yeah, and it's a hint to the mystery. It was new. Yeah, it was absolutely new.
Why? Why was there a scroll that allowed him to summon the monster that was being constructed and built by her?
There's no scroll. He didn't summon new. Do you remember what he does at the very end of this anime? Punches a hole into another world. He literally opened a hole into New's world, and New's butt came through.
Are you kidding me? That's what happened?
Yeah. So I could be wrong because I don't remember if words appeared on the scroll when he slapped it, which would be very interesting if that did happen, because that means there's more associating Boruto with this otherworldly creature than we are understanding.
I have a theory, actually. So when his hand hit the ground, it was the same effect as every other summon that we saw up to that point. The lines went out from the hand. His hand hit the ground. He didn't punch through it.
That's true.
I don't think he did a real summon, though. I think our main antagonist that we'll discuss later just made us summon at that point.
Maybe
to make it look like he summoned it.
The only thing
to hide the fact that she was bringing it into the world.
That's very possible too. The only thing is Boruto's eye seems to react to this thing naturally. Even later, like remember how it sparked right before it teleported? His eye started like sparking.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And I'm wondering if there could be some connection to him and this thing.
This creature. Well, the one issue that I see as a possibility in Jason's theory is that she was building those little loops along the outside of the tattoo, which were indicating the power level of the creature as she was feeding it chakra. And at this point in time, she only had like
that's why it couldn't come out. That's why it couldn't come out all the way through.
Yeah, but even when it did come out, she still wanted to make sure that it was completely full before she did anything with it, because it'd be too weak to detonate and to use as a real warrior. So I don't think it would have been ready for her.
But that's exactly what happened at the end.
So I have a question.
She brought it in.
No,
the real world.
It had one bar missing when she brought it in.
Right, it wasn't ready.
Right, but if you remember, she was forced to do it because everybody had figured out who she was and had cornered her. She wouldn't have done it if she just had the choice.
You guys always got to jump to the ending.
Yeah, I know.
we haven't revealed who it is yet, though.
No.
I had one question, though. Doesn't Boruto see the shadow of the entire beast there?
Yes.
So it's not like its butt is sticking in a portal. It's all there, and only the tail is manifesting.
Strangely, just the shadow, though, which means only he can see it. But yeah, you're right. Only the tail is actually manifesting as a physical object.
So we don't... I think we should write this off as we don't know enough about what this creature is and where it's from to understand how this should be working and interpret the scene better. Hopefully, Boruto explains it better and further in its series, but...
we'll read it in the wiki somewhere.
Yeah, that probably will happen. The next episode introduces Jeremy's favorite character, Mitsuki, who, there's another possessed person, and they start chasing him, and then they come around the corner, and this guy's already taken him out. I'm going to let you guys talk about how you feel about them, and then I'm going to reveal a major spoiler about the character, which if you watch the post-credit scenes of the Boruto movie, you should already know. And if you've watched any Naruto, you should figure out pretty quick who this character is the son of. But you guys go ahead. What do you think of Mitsuki?
Okay. So he's my favorite character because in this, I get the sense very quickly that he is sort of a lurking villain waiting to happen. He's obviously been created or constructed. He's not normal. He's not a regular kid. His background sounds very interesting. I don't even know exactly what he is, whether he's a clone or whether he's a construct of some kind. But his behavior suits his mysterious origin very well. He seems to have these very strongly ingrained, very well-trained behaviors, and yet he's questioning them and he's actually paying attention, but only when Boruto points out that, no, that's not the only way to do it. Look, there's another option. And so he's dealing with this sort of training to always just take the most direct, most effective path and ignore anything that would have any high risk for a high reward. Play it safe and just, if that means killing someone who might be your friend because they're possessed or something, just kill them. Just move on. It doesn't matter. And yet when he sees Boruto try and take another path, he doesn't just step in and stop him. He actually appreciates it and is impressed by it and says to himself, wow, I didn't know that choice was there. And so seeing that kind of back and forth wish-washing of his own personality where he's trying to figure out who he wants to be, I thought that actually seemed to manifest more of a internal conflict than I saw in any other character.
I'd agree with that. But he was... if I had to describe him with one word, it'd be unmemorable.
How? Well, you're gonna have to explain that because I have no idea how you got.
I think of it in the sense of like an assassin, right? Like,
literally the second most memorable character to me because he's so different from everyone else.
He is different, but he's so bland and so naive about the world, and doesn't say a ton except for floundering over Boruto the entire anime. It felt he was tough to watch because they kind of gave it away that there was some sort of nefariousness about him way too early.
First scene.
Yeah, so you're just like the entire anime, you're just like waiting, okay, is this the time he's going to turn? No. This time he's going to turn? No. And then finally later you go, oh, he's not connected to the main villain of this season, but he's definitely not a good guy.
He was there looking for it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was
looking for the tattoo thing.
There's a scene where he finds the culprit and just lets her go.
I think it's because it wasn't ready to be used yet. Like he said, what's valuable is that tattoo on your back. Right. I want to take that back. You don't matter. And so I think that the tattoo wasn't ready to be taken off until it was strong enough to actually summon new.
Well, so a couple problems with that. One, he had no idea this person had it. There was a high likelihood. And two, he didn't see it or what its state was.
He knew exactly what it was called. He had found her and figured out who she was, and he left a snake with her to try and verify. I think he knew.
And then his orders changed. Like he was given direct orders to make the move, even if it wasn't ready.
That's true. He did get a change of orders, too.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So it wasn't decision-making based on information he had. It was just like, hey, just so you know, things are hitting the fan. Okay, make my move regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Irregardless?
he actually, in the statement that you made about his naivety, I was trying to think of how what you mean by that, because I don't see it very well, but I do see it in the sense of he's naive to goodness. He seems like he's very well educated in.
I would say naive to morality.
Yeah, exactly. Like ethics, morality, that kind of goodness, kindness.
He seems like a clone. He seems like,
which he is,
like a robot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, very much like a robot. He seems like he just woke up to the world and
like a soldier. Mm-hmm. He's been given orders. He's going to follow them. He doesn't question orders. He just does what he's supposed to do.
Yes.
And doesn't think about the morality or the consequences of it. at least how soldiers are portrayed in things like Universal Soldier, right?
No, I 100%.
Uncle Van Damme.
So,
Yes.
so to spoil this for everyone out there, just here it comes.
Okay.
This is the clone son of Orochimaru, who is the main villain of all of Naruto and a side villain of Naruto Shippuden. Kind of their Frieza, right? And they even mentioned, so the Sound Village was Orochimaru's village that he created for himself, basically, after he was exiled. It's his evil group. And they mentioned, like, yeah, we were at war with them, but yeah, they're actually trying to be a good village now. Orochimaru has decided not to continue his life work of death and destruction, but I'm under this understanding he's still kind of a villain.
Yeah.
So he has sent his clone son, and his clone son, what's interesting is he's there to carry out his mission, do his dad's work, but Boruto is the wild card that no one planned on. And he's seeing Boruto, and he's wondering, do I need to be this way? Do I need to be the villain's son? Or could I become something different? And
it seems like he's stalking Boruto from the moment he's introduced.
He is. And he's asking, is Boruto my son? I think he's actively looking for a way not to be the villain.
Because I would think that he's meaning the sun to my moon. Like, I am the pale moon. You're my
if you
opposite.
look at the spelling, it's S-U-N.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the sun in the sky, the sun to my moon. Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't like this character. He just didn't feel. Yeah,
I guess I like the idea of him, and
I do
there's
too.
a lot of places it could go, and I'm really interested in that. Does he do a lot in this story arc? I think I can agree that he doesn't.
I liked the execution of it in this too, though. Like, I would actually have to argue that because he is trying to be incognito, because he is trying to be stalking him, because of his background and everything, he shouldn't stand out. He shouldn't be eccentric or really noticeable in any way. Any comment that he's going to make should be just to himself, because even if everybody else tries to see him as a friend, he sees himself as the odd man out, the guy with a mission. And so I think he actually accomplished that. And a lot of his critiques of Boruto were the things I was thinking, like, oh my God, are you serious? You're going to talk your way out of this one too? Oh, geez. Look, it worked.
The most interesting thing for me, and we will talk about it a little bit, because knowing who he was and what his past is, was the scene where Naruto meets him. And Naruto looks at him like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
When Mitsuki, right before he leaves, Naruto looks at him like, is he?
Yeah.
That's not to do with. I'll worry about it later. But yeah, the snake powers, it's very much Orochimaru. Orochimaru was the snake. So Naruto and Naruto's teacher was the frog. Sakura and her teacher were the slugs. And then Orochimaru and Sasuke were snakes. He's made a clone of himself who has snake powers, and that's why he's very snake-like.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Especially in the future, if you've seen the movie, him, Sarada, and Naruto form a team, and there's a lot of lore history of why these three would make an interesting team because of parents and teachers that have influenced and the ties. So like I said, I'm really excited to see where they go with it. I can see both your points, and I'm kind of in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, so you like the character then?
For the most part, yeah. I think he's one of the most interesting characters, at least for what they're going to do with him. He is, to me, the wild card of the story. Like, Boruto's going to do all this stuff. Sarada's going to try to, outdo her dad. But what is the villain's son going to do working for the good guys? Well, how is he going to follow the Sasuke route and turn into a villain that they try to save? I don't feel like they're going to go that route with him. He's literally the villain who's going to choose to be a hero. And that's, I think, is interesting. It's almost they flipped what they did in Naruto. Or are flipping. But I don't know him yet.
Okay.
So another big thing that happens in this episode, so when Mitsuki joins the class and they talk, hey, he's the transfer student, the teacher Shino, who is a minor character, he was part of the class of Naruto, but he's their teacher, and he tries really hard to make this party happen, and he makes these stuffed bears dance and the flowers dance, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is so awesome! Our teacher's so cool!" And they touch the stuff, and bugs go everywhere because she knows ninjutsu. Is he literally has bugs living inside his body that he can control with chakra. It is his family's tradition, or whatever. that's their thing. They're the bug men, and this freaks out his class, and then his class is all like, "Man, our teacher sucks." And it should be noted they're having class outside because that last competition, that race, destroyed the school.
Yep.
I actually really enjoyed that level of storytelling and attention to detail from the writers. That the school got demolished, you don't have a classroom for a while. Like that was neat.
Yeah.
You don't usually see that in these kind of shonen animes. Usually it's like the next episode is like, hey, we're back in school.
The building's
been a few months, obviously.
Yeah, right. You know what? I actually really, and I know this isn't a Naruto recap. I really enjoyed the teacher. I thought he was an interesting character I could really sink my teeth into and get to know. Like they gave him a lot of screen time. He had very deep conflicting issues going on. Like I thought he was the most interesting character in this entire anime.
I will say, as someone who's watched Naruto, he is the last character I thought they would pick as a teacher, which they comment on, like, you're the worst person to teach kids. And they still made him the teacher, which was really interesting to me. And I especially like that he was willing to tell Naruto quit being a sucky dad,
Yeah. I don't have too much to say about this guy except bugs. Wow. That was incredible. And he seemed to take the Japanese honor trope to the nth level. Like instead of just being like, well, things didn't work out too well, we're going to try something different, or even just backing down from the job, it became, I am horrible. I'm a horrible person. I regret everything, and this is terrible. Yeah. And so to the point where this monster can infest me because now I have a weakness that's susceptible to it. So it was a little bit, for me, it was a little bit contrived, I would say, just like how intensely he was ashamed of it.
Almost Deus Ex Machina, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I could see it maybe, but oh man, it's a stretch.
I thought they set it up well. I thought they really showed from the first episode like how stressed out this class is making him. He got the Boruto. Like he's like, oh,
yeah.
Man, I have the Hokage-san. He first day before he's even in my class, he's destroying the monument.
Yeah. I guess it has to do with his approach. Like his approach didn't intensify in the disciplinarian aspect very much. It intensified in the self-shame aspect. Like, how can I fix this by being the buddy? And so I was thinking, this approach is just yielding more shame for you, and eventually it yields this result.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
I guess people do that though.
That was a good thing of like, yeah, you're literally like the worst guy for this job, but you try so hard, it's worth.
And also, he had good motives as well because he wanted to pay back the town for being so good to him. And we'll get to this, but this is a prime example of what I mean by like the sum of its parts are just not that great. Like there's all this like little tidbits of backstories with the main characters that new people to the series have no idea what they're talking about. They have no clue what's going on. And I was actually compiling a list of all these moments of they refer back to the old days and then they just leave it with no context. And it's like, who was this anime written for? Because it's not new people.
I wonder if it's an attempt to try and get you to go back and watch Naruto.
That's fair.
If you're not familiar with it,
that's
I wonder.
Rude. You can't make that many episodes and expect people to go watch.
Yeah, you know how daunting that task would be?
Seriously.
It's almost abusive, but yeah.
In this episode, a construction worker gets possessed because his thing got destroyed again.
It's horrible.
So how does being possessed all of a sudden make you a master at throwing things?
I know. I wondered the same thing. Like ninja construction worker throwing beams through walls and stuff.
Like how did it make it become a ninja? Like he was throwing them hard enough to penetrate concrete. I mean,
yeah.
Now before long
Magic.
before this episode, I think I even said it on this podcast, but I might not have, that I thought everyone in this class or everyone in this town went to ninja school. Yeah, it was a mini-sode where we said what world you want to be in. I said this one because they'll make me a ninja by automatic.
Yeah.
And they kind of dispel that in this thing, but then there's like this construction worker who still knows ninja stuff, and I'm like, are you sure? You sure not everyone becomes a ninja?
Yeah. And
so
in the movie, they even kind of have these scientists that, up until a certain point, they're just book nerds, right? They're techies, they're scientists. And then all of a sudden, they're doing stealth leaps into a portal, and you're like, what?
Hold up.
Yeah.
I did like that Denki pulled out a laptop at one point. It definitely showed the era that they were in.
That was funny. He had hack no jutsu.
I also like that Denki and Iwabe are becoming like buddies. I like that. That's the big tough dumb guy and the smarty brainy guy and how they're getting along. That'll be a good pair to watch. But basically, because of this, the construction worker thing, Shino gets even more depressed, and then he does get possessed. And the next episode is he literally calls Shikadai, Boruto, and Mitsuki to like the woods, and he's like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna kill you."
That was a hysterical moment. Just how forthright he was with that statement.
They're trying to apologize because he's not answering. They're like, "We're so sorry. We don't know what we did, but it was horrible of us." And he's like, "I'm going to kill you now. It's your final lesson." And then the whole episode is him hunting them through the forest with his bugs. Shino has always been a creepy hero, and they really got to play with it here, and I was glad to see that come back.
It was an interesting power. Like, I was actually really impressed with it, but just coming at it from the idea of ninjutsu, from the idea of ninjas in history, this was so just out of the blue. But now that I know it's magic, it's actually really cool power.
Yeah, and his clan literally lives with bugs inside them. They live inside him. They have colonies of bugs inside them.
God, it just makes my skin grow.
I know. It reminds me of Fate Zero. One of the families has those parasites. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he winds up getting the berserker to call. Oh, so much like that.
They can use it to eat chakra. They have different mutations inside them, flying ones, swimming ones. And, they talk about, like, if he's going all out, we can't survive him. He is way too strong for us.
Yeah. What is the body mass thing there, though? Like, again, it's magic, so shut up, Jeremy. Okay.
I'm sure he can not only do bugs in his body, but, bugs that are similar to what's in his body in the environment, he could probably also grab.
Well, I was just looking at the size of the swarm, and I realized that there's space between the bugs, but that was just one type of bug. And then when he goes in the water, he's like, yeah, you thought that was the only type of bug I have? And I was like, well, I mean, the swarm was...
So my assumption is that most of the bugs are dormant in larval form and in a much smaller state, and then when he activates his chakra, they hatch and then pop out of his body. And that's why there's more than the size of his body. But again, we're talking about an anime who probably doesn't really even care if there's an explanation for how many bugs are. They're just like, it's cool that bugs come out of him.
So he's like that caterpillar that's been infested by all the wasp.
On purpose. They do it. That is their thing.
So I ended up constantly reproducing inside of him. Oh, God.
I actually really enjoyed this exchange of the three of them not only having to run from him, but then come up with a plan to, like, save him.
And it was a realistic mortal threat. Like, you could buy into it too.
Yeah, no, this is what I'm talking about. This was well executed, well told. The setup was decent, and even though Jeremy doesn't think it's believable, I kind of get it as far as like the he's in an emotionally racked state, and he's emotionally vulnerable to this
in an anime
bad
world,
guy's
checks out.
Specifically to this bad guy's vulnerability,
right?
You're seeing, if you will. Trying to think of it anyway, whatever. No, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm just wondering why couldn't the full anime give this kind of performance? But anyways, I point is, I enjoyed this whole exchange. I actually liked it. It endeared me to the teacher even more, which is a shame because I don't know the teacher from any other context.
Right. So basically, they end up trapping him in a river and are able to electrocute him
Down by the river.
through a really, they like have one guy stand off the other side of the river. He's like, oh, I don't know why he's over there, and I'll deal with him later. But it's
That
a
was
clone,
funny.
and it wasn't the real one. The real one's underwater. So they're able to drag him under and electrocute him, like I said. And Mitsuki's the one who grabs him and throws him on the shore, and then he starts to drown. Boruto jumps in to save him, but can't. And then the teacher comes in and saves everyone with a giant bug summoning.
Yeah.
Which is cool to see the summoning come back, and that they already
Yeah.
set that up for newbies. That was at least a better thing.
It was kind of cool. At first, my impression was, why are they so? Everybody's so wiped, but I mean, they probably were a lot deeper than in the water than maybe we got the impression of. I mean, it seemed really deep, and I've held my breath diving down pretty deep, and I know sometimes just looking up at the surface, you're like, oh.
Remember, they point out he's overusing his chakra the entire battle. They say like he would never do that. He's usually very reserved in how much chakra he uses, and he's going all out.
And that's his whole weakness.
That was his weakness, yeah, absolutely. And then we also learn later that chakra is being drained from these victims. And
I was thinking about the kids, but yeah.
But again, I think you're right on the depth. Maybe fully clothed. Sure.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, you've got to account for all that extra mass for Mitsuke's long noodle arms.
The two big things that happen is Boruto does tell his friends about the shadow that he sees. So this is the first they've heard about it. He's finally shared it. And then Shino informs Naruto what happened. So Naruto now is aware of what's been going on. And so now both parties... Boruto now has help investigating this, and Naruto's got the adults starting to work on it.
What's the big supercomputer thing in the center? It looks like a big glowing orb, and it's spitting out these long tails of blocks. Is that supposed to be like...
Yeah, what was that?
It seems like some kind of really high-tech data center hologram thing.
Yeah, I've only seen it in the movie before, and that's what they acted with it was, but I can't tell you. I'm sorry. If it wasn't,
it's definitely not. It's not a ninja thing.
It wasn't something that I know. I mean, I've seen some weird like communication things where they put like helmets on each other's head because they had mind control powers, and that was how they could mind control to each other messages.
Okay,
but right. I'm not quite sure how this thing works. But it is like it's their supercomputer processing thing.
It was Cerebro.
Yeah, basically.
I like that.
Then episode 7 was another one, like the metal-y one that I really wasn't a fan of. It's the one with the stalker stalking the class rep, Sumire.
Oh God!
And really,
the ultimate guy's jutsu, invisibility.
Yeah, we see Cho, getting her chips, and she assumes the stalker is stalking her all the time.
That was pretty funny.
But basically, it's a guy who has the ability to go invisible with his jutsu, and he's in love with the class rep. And when he tells her, she rejects him, and so he starts doing creepy stuff, and he gets possessed.
Like super creepy stuff.
Captures her to the roof, and everyone has to go save him. And the saving is literally Cho telling him, "You need to man up."
Up till this point, the kids all thought that they had to beat someone up in order to get the ghost to let go.
Yeah, and she tells them to man up, and the ghost lets go. So you just have to get them out of their funk.
Yeah,
and you can free
change
them.
their mindset.
You have to talk to their heart.
Their ninja heart. Heart no jutsu.
I don't think anything else really important happened here. I mean, you kind of get your Cho background. She's been kind of a comic relief up to this point, but you see she's a little bit smarter than she was, and really a clone of her dad, personality-wise, as far as the eating.
Who's her dad then?
Choji, who also was a fat kid who always ate chips. And the reason is they have an ultimate jutsu where they use up all their metabolism, goes into super overdrive, and all that fat burns away, and they become super powerful for a short burst of time. And they will literally die if they don't have the body fat to sustain it. But he also is a rapid growth body expansion guy, and they also need the calories to deal with the extra mass.
So this
There
Wow.
is part of their jutsu that they need to eat and be fat, but at this age, everyone makes fun of them for being fat.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of heartless, actually, come to think of it.
Choji, in original Naruto, at near the end, in like the last story arc, Choji has this big battle where he fights this giant guy by himself to let his friends go on for their quest, and he eats like this thing that does what I mentioned. It burns all his fat. He gets super skinny, and he literally gives his life for it. And he didn't die, obviously, because he has a daughter.
Well, then he didn't give his life, did he?
But he thought he was. It's very emotional. And it was very good, and that's when they explain, like, yeah, this whole time he's been the comic relief for being fat. There was a reason behind it, and so to see Cho doing the same thing, it's like, oh, it carried on. But
that's actually. Go ahead.
I was gonna say he was the same as also understanding his friends better than anyone else, and always just being like, no, I know this character is going to make these decisions because I pay attention.
Yeah. Knowing those details about how the power functions is actually really, really helpful, because it's the same thing as when I'm frustrated where characters that are too young to have the life experience are put in a position of leadership and are making all the best decisions. It's kind of the same thing when you have this group of parkour running ninjas that are fighting and being amazing and having these acrobatic feats that are near impossible or are impossible in many cases. And then one of them is distinctly overweight. And I'm like, how is she keeping up with the rest? Like, how is this even functioning? But understanding the way that the chakra works and her specific power, that brings that into perspective. That's very interesting. I like that power for that reason. That's cool. That's interesting.
The next episode gets into really lore heavy stuff. And really it's the big setup for, I believe, this entire series that we don't get a lot of payoff for yet. It's like just a seed of what's to come. And that's this man on the moon. This mysterious guy. You guys probably didn't realize he was on the moon, but he is on the moon, and I know that.
How why they keep like zooming in on the moon?
Yes, he lives on the moon. In the last Naruto movie, which is not
what is this, Final Fantasy 2?
He was the villain of the last Naruto movie, which I believe is not canon in the
Majora's
series.
Mask.
Yeah.
I couldn't help myself. Go ahead.
And that movie is about like Naruto falling in love with his wife, and they finally get engaged. But he's the villain of that movie, and
the man in the moon.
He has the eyes that Boruto's mom has.
Oh,
and he's related to that. So Boruto dreams of him after seeing this movie about a ninja superhero, which would seem weird in a world full of ninja heroes, but sure.
That was awesome. I loved that.
He has this dream about this guy telling him, your eye is going to save the world. And so he wakes up and he's like, I have the Byakugan, guys. Everyone, I have the Byakugan. And he starts acting like the superhero in the movie, being all cheesy.
Put some
and
visor on.
Saying just ridiculous stuff. The hatred of
also, he doesn't want anyone to know that he likes this guy. He goes out of his way whenever they ask him.
Criticize him.
Yes. Oh, God, it's great.
But he thinks he has the Byakugan, and honestly, this is what before we did this podcast, this is what I spent most of my time thinking about. What does he have? Because why is the guy in the moon who's somehow connected to Byakugan talking to him if he doesn't have the Byakugan, which he doesn't, because it's different, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Well,
really
he even got it tested by his grandpa. I guess that's coming up in
which is no, that's what happened in this episode. He tells Naruto and his mom, "Hey guys, I have the Byakugan." They're like, "You probably don't. That's weird." They do mention a real good callback to like an OVA of Boruto's initiation day of when he became Hokage. He didn't get to go, and that was because Boruto tore his little sister's doll. And her Byakugan activated, which it shouldn't. And she went to attack him, and Naruto jumps in the way.
Awesome.
And she hits him in a sensitive spot in his chakra point there and knocks him out for a whole day. So someone has to make himself appear like Naruto and do his Hokage celebration.
That's why they said
and
that.
They reference that. They're like, yeah, there are cases where someone can just because the daughter has already done that. And she looks just like her mom, so it makes sense. But yeah, they take Boruto to his grandfather to find out if his eye is the Byakugan, and Naruto doesn't believe him. And then the grandfather's like, "Well, you just fight me, and we'll find out." But the aunt, the grandpa's daughter and Boruto's mom's sister, who was also in the last Naruto movie, she was the one that had her eyes ripped out.
Oh God!
Wait, what? Is that why her eyes are pink now?
No, guys, I already told you. They come out, they go back in. It's fine.
You say ripped out as if they were forcefully taken.
I expected some kind of bloody mess.
Right.
Yeah, they were forcibly taken, but they put them back in. That's fine.
They got him back. It's all good.
It's fine.
Reconstructive ninjutsu surgery.
So she fights him, and he fights really, really hard and loses anyway. Because the Byakugan is OP. Let's be fair. If you have the eyes in the Naruto world, if you have one of the eye powers, you're kind of overly strong.
Byakugan is really, really powerful. Then.
Right. You can see what people are going to do before they do it because you can read their chakra movements even before their muscle movements. So you're one step ahead of them. Plus, it has a 359-degree viewing.
So there's 1 degree that you can't see. Are you kidding me?
That's pretty great, actually.
It might not be exactly 1 degree, but there is a small cone from the center of your back that they don't have vision of, but they can see for miles and they can see almost completely around them.
And their brain can process all of that data.
Yes. Now remember, they did say most people can't handle Byakugan. It takes a lot of training.
Right.
It was pointed out that it's not something that's easy to do.
And lots of really good omega-3s and chia seeds that develop that gray matter.
Actually, all these characters like eat ramen nonstop. That's about
it. Perfect.
Yeah, so that's all you need.
Perfect.
That's all you need.
That's awesome.
I did like the scene where Naruto tells the grandfather, like, I thought he was lying, but now I believe him because he's never tried before. Like, he doesn't try at things, and he actually tried out there. That was a touching scene, and it also kind of touched that theme that I mentioned earlier, like one of the few times they did.
See, I heard that, and I thought, that seems out of place because all I've seen him do is try. Like, there's only one time I've seen him give up, and that was when the math problem was too hard. Every other time, when he's come up against an obstacle, he's powered through it. Never given up. So I thought that was really weird. But in the movie, he lived up to it perfectly.
Right. No, I actually really liked I liked the fight scene, but I also loved that they reference that they go, hey, you can tell a lot by how someone spars in their feeling and their overall presence. And I actually liked this scene, especially later on when he's sitting there with his aunt on the porch.
In Naruto, I think, I could be wrong about this, but I always thought the Hyuga clan was shown as kind of cranky. So, and they kind of initiate that at the beginning, and then the grandpa's like, I'm your grandpa, and he's all nice, and I was like, oh, he's softened over the years. But I could be wrong about that. I always thought Hinata had kind of a hard home life because of strict upbringing.
And then back to my whole issue with who was this made for? Like, there's this whole scene with the grandpa and Naruto, and they're having this conversation as if the audience has all this back knowledge. And I'm just like, what are you guys talking about?
Is there anything specific you can remember?
They talked about, like, how Naruto used to be and why they needed to, keep a good eye on Boruto because Naruto was such a problem child.
Speaking of which,
before, Naruto immediately gets on his knees. He's like, Boruto, did you steal the scroll? Stealing?
That's what I was going to ask.
And I'm just like, scroll of stealing? I mean, obviously, Naruto, in that moment, I was like, oh, Naruto stole a thing called scroll of stealing.
Episode 1 of Naruto, that's where he learned the shadow clone technique. He actually stole it from that scroll.
Oh.
And that's what they're referring to.
That's funny.
As a former Naruto watcher, that scene played very well with me.
I'm sure it did, and I was lost. I was left out.
Yeah. I wonder how much of it has to do with knowing that Naruto exists as a series. Like, most of the things that they said, I would be able to write off as simply character development for the adult that really is almost inconsequential to the story for the most part. So, like, knowing that Naruto was kind of a brash, rambunctious kid, a troublemaker, that's okay. I could have them mention something like that and it wouldn't throw me off. Mentioning Himiwara, or however you say her name, her, showing the Bakugan. They've explained enough about the Bakugan. I'm okay with that. I know it happened. Maybe they'll reveal more details later. I'd be all right with that. The only thing that I could see in that conversation, as I remember it, would be the scroll. And I think my only defense for them would be that if it is episode 1, it would be an easy thing to have run into if you were willing to look at Naruto. You wouldn't have to watch through like 7 seasons of it to get it.
Yeah.
Right. You could get it on the very first episode. So I don't know if I have too much of a problem with that. But I can see your point. Yeah.
So this episode wraps up with Naruto wandering into the town, and the movie star of the movie he had seen before attacks him. He's cursed. And he's fat now. He's depressed so because he's gotten fat. His sequel movie has been canceled. And when Boruto runs after him, he's like, I can stop eating anytime I want. he's eating. In this fight, though, Sarada shows up and helps Boruto. And they do the thing where she pulls out the demon wind shuriken, which is that giant bladed thing, and she throws it. And when it flies behind the guy, it turns into Boruto. And he attacks him. Now, hold on. This is a major reference to Naruto because their parents did the exact same move in the first story arc.
I'm glad this is a reference to Naruto, but like, I
haven't seen.
Yeah, not only have I not seen it, but can you explain it to me at all? How did he turn into
substitution jutsu?
You can turn into inanimate objects. That's fine.
Statue changing jutsu.
So that's literally a thing. It's just changing into other objects.
Yeah, so okay, this is actually the Naruto episode I watched today, was when they did this move, and because they explained it a little bit better, but Naruto, he says, I turned myself into the demon wind shuriken and then had my clone throw it to Sasuke. Sasuke knew immediately as soon as he grabs it that this is a human being. That's all they say. And I'm like, how did he know? What does he feel like? Oh, there's hair on this.
Exactly.
Oh, it's sweaty.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, but it is definitely established in the Naruto universe that you can turn yourself into inanimate objects with a good transformation jutsu. So basically, Naruto is a shapeshifter at will.
Everybody appears to be, huh?
It's basic ninja.
That's kind of overpowered, isn't it?
Yeah, all of this stuff that they're all able to do is really OP stuff. They just aren't smart enough to use it in any way other than these momentary combats. Like, every one of these things has so many potential uses outside of combat.
Yes, but if Naruto had turned himself into the demon shuriken and been seen and is just laying on the ground, the guy could have just come up and stepped on it. You can't run. Your legs don't work when you're an inanimate object.
Oh, clearly everyone knows that. I mean, surely he could have turned himself into something else.
But basically, they beat the fat movie star. I just thought it was interesting that they had that scene called back.
Yeah, I'm glad it was interesting for you.
Yeah, it was very confusing for me. That was very confusing. I was like, is that a clone? Can he change the shape of his clones? I don't get it. What's going on?
Yes.
Oh, yes, that too, yes. Pretty much, if you can imagine it, it happens in Naruto.
That's how he does the harem sexy no jutsu. He makes clones and he turns them all into either gorgeous women or gorgeous men.
Wait, that's a thing?
That's one of Naruto's favorite moves. He uses it on like the final boss of Naruto.
I thought it was just a joke. Oh my god!
That was Naruto's move. That was Naruto's move before
move.
He had moves. He was distracting enemies with naked women.
Okay. I got respect. That is funny. All right.
And the fact that he uses it on the evil monster god in the final battles of Naruto.
Right. This is gonna work.
Pretty great. And it did.
What? Oh god.
Bad guys never see it coming.
It's true.
Yeah.
We should move on.
Yeah. So the next episode starts with the boys are decided to start scouting the city. They're more determined than ever. They start calling it the Ghost Incident. And they have Mitsuki write them a absence note to get them out of trouble. And it basically just says, I'm skipping school.
Yeah. They all trusted him. Never do that.
So when Naruto gets home, he gets in big trouble with his mom. And
apparently mom's a really scary person.
Yeah, well, I mean, she can see right through you.
Literally.
Why bother writing a note at that point?
Well, she's got to activate the ability to be able to see, right?
That's true. I didn't see the veins on her eyes, so she has to be suspicious first.
Right. So he gets in trouble with her in the school, and the teacher actually takes pity on them and decides, let's have intern day for our students where they can go help other people throughout the village. And he kind of helps Boruto and his group figure out, go be mailmen. So they do. They go be mailmen, and they deliver horribly. They're like, let's just rush, and they throw envelopes.
So what was the joke? So I finally got the joke you guys were making in our chat when you were like, we got mailman jutsu or ninja mailman.
That was Jeremy.
It's mail no jutsu.
Mail no jutsu.
It's like everything in this is jutsu. Everything. Every occupation.
Yeah.
Flirt no jutsu. Like anything.
Yeah.
I
mean, it'd be like in a world of wizards. Hey, fairy tale. Where they're like, mail magic spell. Hacking, computer hacking spell. And it's the same thing. It's just.
I guess it works in a sort of high fantasy way.
Yeah. And it's just what these people know. They end up missing another attack, which is now not happening at school like it used to be. It's happening in the city. And we meet the character Sai, who is the head investigator ninja of these crime scenes. And he investigates, and he realizes it's the Hashirama cell, which you guys have no idea what that means, I'm guessing.
I put together that it seems it was something Sasuke, or was Sasuke a part of it? Or
Sasuke was not, no.
No? Okay, so
world-ending bad guy?
I was confusing Sai and Sasuke at this point really badly because Sasuke wasn't there.
Fair, because Sai was Sasuke's replacement when Sasuke left.
Okay. So confusing
again. Hold on.
Okay. So a little quick background on Sai. He was basically the black ops of the village. And they keep talking about Donzo and his foundation. They were a black ops group and he was an assassin who was sent to join Naruto's team like he was meant to help them, but really he was just there to kill Sasuke if they ever found him. Because Naruto's whole mission in life became, I'm going to get Sasuke back.
Okay.
And so they put this guy on this team. And so when he talks about, I want to help this person, he was kind of brainwashed as a kid to be an assassin for this group. And Naruto helped him kind of break free and become a normal person again. So he knows how powerful the influence of this group can be on a person. So he doesn't.
He a clone?
I don't think so. I don't know what his why his skin color is like that though. Like I said, Shippuden is kind of my fuzzy area. Mm-hmm. The Hashima cell would be cells from the first Hokage, who had a very specific jutsu style called wood style, which is very powerful in this universe. And
is that why there were plants on all the wood?
Yes, and that's what he's talking about when he's like, there's plants. So someone's using wood style, and wood style is very, very rare. There's only a few people there. And
is it rare or forbidden? Because it kind of sounded like it was like, ooh.
I believe it's rare. I don't think it's forbidden. Yeah, kind of a lost style, because it's like one of the few things that can grab like the nine-tailed beast and contain him. He can't break it. They've mentioned how powerful wood style is, and the cells from the first Hokage have very strong abilities. As a matter of fact, Naruto's arm that's wrapped in bandages, I believe, is made from reproduced cells of the first Hokage.
I do have a quick question though. Everyone seems to have bandage wrappings. Is there a good reason for it? Or are they hurt? Or
Naruto's arm was blown off at one point, and so he has a new arm that he keeps wrapped.
What?
Yeah.
It's just blown off.
Does it like have red hair on it or something?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if it's just a different skin tone than his, so it would look odd. So he just keeps it wrapped for that reason. I don't know why he chooses to wrap it. Sasuke and Naruto's final battle, they both create super energy balls in their hands and smash them together, and their arms blow off.
Nice.
Naruto chose to have his arm replaced. Sasuke keeps his arm off. If you noticed in the movie, he has a sleeve just waving around behind him. That's because he carries it as a badge of honor the moment Naruto changed his mind. But Naruto, to serve better as Hokage, got his arm replaced.
Okay.
Wow.
So everyone has different reasons for having bandages.
Yeah, who else had bandages? Other than that, I think it's just a style choice.
Metal and Metal's dad always had bandages on.
Yeah, that's just from a lot of physical training. That's like tape. They tape up their arms.
Okay. That's fair.
So I think, yeah, for most characters of style, Naruto has a reason, but I can't know the specific reason.
So they have regenerative jutsu. I see.
Right, which obviously is a very special technology. So when he's mentioned like someone's using that technology that came from this Black Ops group that I used to be a part of, this is a big deal.
Wolverine jutsu.
And why he's kind of the head of
investigation jutsu. Yeah.
Sorry, Troy, we're assholes.
Yes.
You guys are fine.
Asshole no jutsu.
You sat through 14 episodes. You deserve it.
Okay, I get a little.
He does mention the chakras being drained from people. That ends up being a big callback. And then Boruto finds out the next day he messed up all their deliveries, so they are sent to do stamps. And while they're
Chocho's pissed that her potato chips got
her rare potato chips didn't show up. I feel the same way when Amazon doesn't.
Right.
Why are you paying for Prime?
Hey, technically that's the USPS, not Amazon.
Well, I guess that's true. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this episode ends with Boruto seeing the news that the water plant was attacked, and he knew that the class rep Sumire was there, and then we see her laying in like a water ditch, hurt. And then the next episode goes into her being in the hospital, and Naruto had saved her, but there had been an attack there.
I didn't like this transition at all. I did not like this transition because I thought I'd missed an episode. The way that they were talking in the hospital.
Oh, like Naruto came and had a battle.
Yes.
And you missed it.
Yeah. And I was like, when did this happen? What? Yeah, this really frustrated me. I actually went back and I was like, did I miss one? And I started 11 over again. Or whatever episode it was. I started it again. I'm like, no, I saw this. I saw this.
After that, there's a scene of Naruto grabbing Boruto by the ear and like dragging him into a hospital room and showing him the victim of the curse and being like, this is too dangerous. You're a kid. Knock it off. Mm-hmm. And the teacher comes in and defends him and is like, hey, remember how you're a crappy dad? Maybe you should just like back off the kid.
I thought this scene was really weird. Well, to be honest, like, okay, I just showed you how awful this whole like real life is, like, but then here comes teacher to say, nah, they should let him stay in extreme danger. It's fine.
And then Naruto says, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening with my son. That makes sense. You do have to remember that this village, after they graduate this academy at like the age of 12, they start going on actual missions of, battling assassins and other ninja. So it's not like there's a huge age difference between when they're going to be in actual real life danger and now. And Shino's like, they're kind of ready for it.
Is that how Naruto was?
I believe they were like 12 when they get assigned.
Get assigned to do like really dangerous stuff.
And they're usually assigned low level stuff. Like in the movie, I believe they have to rescue a bear that escaped the zoo, which is, that's the kind of stuff they usually do. Naruto always ended up on, this turned into a super dangerous mission. As one does. But they are going into real life situations. That does actually happen. And Naruto knows better than anyone. But that's this world, 12 years old is good enough to start. They're already throwing ninja stars at each other.
I did find that really odd. I'm just like, you are throwing actual ninja hardware at each other. And it's just That's fine. Not Ioweb. What's his name?
Iwabe.
Yeah, Iwabe and Boruto's first fight. Like Boruto just starts off by throwing shurikens at him. It's like,
Someone's thinking of a South Park episode, aren't they?
Yes. Butters.
that's my eye.
Can't help but feel Naruto may have influenced that a little bit.
Well, I just love the fact that I actually saw that. Let's fighting love. I saw that whole thing with South Park this week, like at the same time as Boruto. That was great.
Naruto goes back to the post office, and they try to get to like another attack, and they're late again. They realize that these attacks are happening away from them, wherever they're not, and they're like, "Oh, we're being tracked." So they call all their friends, and they're like, "We're gonna go everywhere." And here's Iwabe brings fireworks, like light these off if you find them, and they all leave. And then the masked figure who's behind all this shows up at the post office and possesses the manager. And Boruto comes back and he's like, "Yeah, we knew the one place you didn't think we'd be is where you'd show up, and here you are." The masked figure runs away, but the other students, trap her in the alleyway, and then they fight the manager. And everything kind of just goes.
So this is when her power became a little unclear. I actually really liked the mailman boss guy. He was great. Everything had to be in order, and talk about OCD. But I had a question, because it's like, again, a non-ninja dude, or at least a semi-established non-ninja dude, gets like jutsu, like male jutsu, right?
Yes.
But so he ends up like not only getting this power, but then like starts going, "I hate my job. Why is all this, like, the stamps aren't straight and people aren't writing the lines?" And he just starts ripping mail off the wall, and I'm going, is her chakra control thing something, it makes them rampage, but is she in control of the rampage, or does it just make their inner desires come out in an angry form? Because if it's the latter, then that male dude didn't like being a mailman, and like all that in the line stuff really didn't matter to him. He just hated his job and wanted everyone else to suffer.
I like that interpretation.
Okay. First I have a question for you before I get to the interpretation. Did anyone else see the mailman answer Boruto when he was talking to the masked figure? Or did I mix that up with just subtitles?
I might have seen it, but I don't remember. Once you say it, I might remember it.
Which would mean she was directly controlling him, like using him as a puppet almost.
That's what I'm wondering. Is it direct control? And if that's so, then is she the one that's like making him go off the rails as far as against his nature?
I saw it as a man who has been organizing every day of his life, and no one ever helps. And it's just like, fine, you don't care? I don't care anymore. If it will just make everything messy more than I didn't want things clean in the first place. I just see it as a guy who hit his breaking point and is like, fine, burn it all down.
That's exactly how I saw it as well.
Okay.
I just find
maybe I misinterpreted it.
I find your interpretation to be very entertaining, though. Like, I love the person that made.
If I have to suffer, so does everyone else.
Yes, that cracked me up. Yep.
They beat the mailman pretty easily, and the masked figure gets away after Mitsuki catches it in the sewer, but lets it get away. So
he has no orders yet, I think. Yeah.
Right, and is waiting for something to come to fruition. That's the only thing that makes sense. Or maybe maybe he wanted to solve the mystery. There could also be the thing of like, I don't want to catch you. I want Boruto to catch you.
That's
to see what happens there. That's more interesting to me. Because as soon as Boruto says a certain line, he's like, okay, I want you to know who it is now. Because I want to see what you do about it. And that could be what he's thinking right at this point, is like, no.
It's interesting you say that, because in that conversation, he's like, I need to confirm if you're my son.
Mm-hmm.
And even Boruto is taken aback by it. Like, what? What do you mean?
Okay, so this is still investigation.
Dude, I'm into girls.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, kind of like in the forest, like, when he wasn't helping them, and then all of a sudden he appears, and it's all a test for Mitsuki.
To see what Boruto will do.
Yeah.
The next episode is Mitsuki asking around about Boruto and trying to understand him better. I really liked Inojin's thing of like, he's just an idiot who does whatever he wants, and why wouldn't people want to be around that?
It's entertaining.
It was more than that. It was just that he's not judging others because he's so sick of being judged. Like,
that's true. Yeah,
you get judgment free zone with him. He's fine with everyone being themselves. But he's an idiot for that. I liked Inojin's explanation.
Whose son is Inojin, by the way?
Sai, the cop, and there was another character who was his mother, who had long blonde hair.
Does she have the Bakugan?
No, that's just the weird color of his eyes.
Wait, so he doesn't have that heritage?
Not that I know of. No.
Then why'd they give him those eyes?
I don't know.
Move on.
She was very. God, is her eyes that color? Did she have like silver eyes? I can't remember.
You can't set a precedent and go, "Oh no, this is artistic."
Yeah, exactly. Well, I thought it was strange how many characters didn't have pupils, because some did.
Yeah, some do, some don't. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he goes around asking about it, and then he goes to dinner with Boruto, and they talk a lot about Naruto and how he feels about his dad. And when Naruto actually comes home for dinner that night, the ghost incident starts acting up, and so Naruto has to leave, and this really pisses off Boruto. And he runs off and is like, I hate my dad. He's like, you don't hate your dad. He's like, well, I hate Hokage. I hate what it does to my dad. Why would anyone want to do that? Why, when you have a family, would you ask to take care of the village? That doesn't make any sense to me. He can't be there for the people that matter to him, and I refuse to let that be me. There's a very interesting... Naruto's son wants to be like Sasuke, and Sasuke's daughter wants to be like Naruto. There's a very interesting crossplay that they're setting up there, because she wants to be
dynamic.
She wants to be Hokage. He wants nothing to do with Hokage.
You really see that in the movie too.
Yeah, very much so. So when Mitsuki's talking to him, that's when he's like, okay, I'm going to tell you the information I found because I want to see how you react to it. Because it's something about like we act on our father's will, or we're just doing what our parents want, that makes him want to share this. But he tells him, I know who it is. And that's how it ends. But the episode does tell us who it is by showing this person's hospital bed that they were supposed to be in, which is the class rep.
Yep.
Which is weird. I kind of had wished they didn't show that bed.
So it could be a surprise in the next episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you guys surprised? Because
I actually had no clue who it was. I had a couple people that were like a suspicion. I mean, obviously, the first person I thought it was the Mitsuki,
right?
But then, obviously, when you get the culprit scene, it's obviously not him. And then when he let her go, I thought he was in league with her. But obviously that didn't end up being the case. But total left field. I didn't see it coming because Boruto makes some good points later on that we'll discuss, but she throughout the anime, she seems like she genuinely cares about the people around her and her classmates. So
I'll say though, I was very surprised, and what I felt like in retrospect, I should have suspected it more because there's only a few characters not connected to the Naruto lore that we're being introduced to, and she's one, and Iwabe is another, and that's kind of it. And so it's like, oh, that kind of makes sense, but I didn't expect it to be a student at all. I thought it was going to be an adult.
Okay.
I was actually really surprised when it was one of their classmates, so they caught me off guard. What did you guys think of her? Both, I mean, I'm more interested in her as a villain. Her as the student was just the girl who got freaked out real easy by everything.
Yeah. I actually, as a villain, I thought she was pretty interesting, kind of cool. But I wasn't convinced that Boruto was correct when he said that her behavior as a student was genuine. I had a really hard time accepting that behavior was genuine for a person who actually also behaves like this. There's such a strong contrast between those two things.
I think I can see that.
Yeah, but she had an interesting premise of which all of them, and this season is showing just how tightly they're tied to their history and being the legacy of these other characters, because herself essentially just being the way that her father could enact his revenge. That's her whole purpose in life at this point. And does she really want to do that? Does she want to be that kind of person?
Yeah.
But that seems to be the question that all of them are being asked. So it almost makes it so she isn't really standing out. Like, do you want to be what your parents are trying to make you? Seems to be the question all of them are being asked. Sasuke, Boruto, her. I mean, we're also seeing it even with ones that aren't being asked just because they're so much like their parents. Are they really going to follow that path, or are they going to change into something else? So in that way, she was kind of a little bit stale, but it didn't, I wasn't put off by it. I just notice it now in retrospect.
I really liked this whole reveal. Not only did it catch me off guard, I really liked the idea that it tied back to the war, and that it was you have this character that was built for a purpose. I mean, she basically is what it came down to, is that her dad made her to be this thing, and I have mixed feelings about it, because I want to know more about the dad at this point, actually. Too bad he's gone. And then also, like, this whole reveal felt like it was for a Naruto audience. Like, haha, we're bringing back this guy, but in the form of his daughter.
I had no idea who this character was.
Oh, really?
The character they keep mentioning that was his boss, Danzo, was a big deal in Shippuden. His researchers, there's just random researcher in the Black Ops that got pissed off.
Oh.
So you didn't miss anything. Like I said, you might not understand the Danzo reference and know like how evil he was.
No idea who Danzo is, yeah.
Even I'm really cloudy on him. But as far as the researcher, I don't even know if he was in Shippuden at all. If I don't know of him, I'm assuming he's not that important. I thought it was really interesting, especially in this day and age, that your villain is a suicide bomber.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right.
Because that's what they point that out.
I didn't even think about it like that.
I didn't either. Wow.
He is there to consume chakra, summon Nu, who we'll talk about in a second, this beast, and then the beast will blow up.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a very topical villain that I haven't seen a lot of. Yeah. I'm not. It's almost uncomfortable because it's so hot topic modern age, especially since she's going to probably be reformed. Is what it's looking like to me.
Yeah.
But I think from that, you had mentioned a sale. I'm like, at least from this angle, that's something I didn't see coming.
Yeah,
and is not something I've seen a lot of.
It's certainly new.
And then how does there is a big issue, a theme here of like parents' legacy and what it's pushing you to, and hers is like literally the most disgusting, vile thing these characters could even imagine. They're totally disgusted by it.
Yeah. It's a very interesting character. I also really like Nu. Like, when it comes to like the bomb itself, the monster that's going to blow up, this character, they seem to give it more attention than maybe they needed to.
I didn't expect it to have personality at the end. A little personality out of it. I was like,
to be a pet.
Yeah.
So just to go through the story real quick to get to New, Sai is investigating and finds out, who this researcher was, and that this thing, it's called the Gozu Tenau, and it's basically a thing that sucks up chakra, and that's what all these possessions were. They were just to get chakra. They weren't about causing mayhem or anything. It's just the way it works. They go into her, and then she uses it to summon this giant beast who is... Now, they mentioned, like, when you summon a giant toad, when you summon a snake, you're summoning it from somewhere on Earth. Okay, they have a place they live. This creature is not from this Earth. It's from another dimension, which is where the main villain of Naruto came from, too. So there is this other dimension that is going to be a big factor into Boruto, and that's where this creature came from. So she summons it, and it's this giant lion thing with a snake fur butt.
Mitsuki came from another dimension. Not Mitsuki. His maker came from a different dimension?
No. Sorry. That he is the main villain of Naruto. He was a side villain in Shippuden. Well, I'm talking the main villain of Shippuden ends up being a goddess from another dimension.
Okay. Also, this creature reminded me of like a sort of monkey version of a chimera. Very, very cool design, like with the tiger legs, the monkey body and face, and then like this weird fuzzy snake tail that wasn't even really a snake, but kind of. Yeah,
it's more like a worm with a with teeth.
Right.
It's a tentacle with a mouth.
yeah, let's be honest, it's tentacle.
Because they cut it off and like 30 more come out very tentacly.
Yes. Yeah.
Which. Okay, so for Naruto fans, Kakashi shows up to help. Who, he was the former Hokage. He was Naruto's teacher, and he comes out of retirement. He's already been like investigating this thing from another angle, and you get to see Kakashi do some fighting. He's always been a fan favorite character. How strong he is, and him and Sai kind of take it on with these other ninjas. They try putting up a barrier, and meanwhile, Mitsuki gets orders to take her out, get the bomb tattoo that's on her back, and so he goes and catches up with Boruto, and he's like, "Hey, Boruto, you need to stay here. I'm gonna go kill her." And Boruto's like, "No, you can't do that."
Yeah, whoa.
So he uses a clone to grab Boruto. So Boruto makes his own clones, who then beat up him too to get past him. Like I said, these clones have a lot of personality more than Naruto's did. But basically, it comes down to class rep and Mitsuki fighting, and Boruto getting in the middle and being like, stop the fighting, stop trying to kill each other. I like that she wasn't a strong fighter. I like that she's like, I'm a sneaker. I'm not a battler. I mean, she held her ground, but she wasn't like a powerful warrior.
It's true. She wasn't Mitsuki's equal.
Right.
I mean, you could even tell, like, when they clashed and Boruto was in the middle of him, whose blade stuck him, it was hers. Mitsuki was a good enough warrior that he was able to actually pull back at the last moment and not finish the blow. So
New, the monster, teleports to their location, and she's like, "Eat me!" And it does, and then jumps into a portal. I mean, what do you want? I'm
It's awesome.
Boruto goes after, ends up in this other dimension, which looks like a swamp. And he has to, and this is actually when I thought it started getting really, really good, because he has to fight the monster on his own. But they don't fight very long, and I kind of wish it had been a little bit more. But Mitsuki also shows up and helps him. They manage to pin it down with these giant ropes that are laid across its layer.
So with the shadow clones, they each had their own set of explosive paper chakras. And I'm just wondering, does he carry like 16 of them, and when he makes the clones, he like tosses them to the clones, or do they actually duplicate those when they clone as well?
I actually don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
You can, I mean,
because I mean,
I can see it both ways, but I don't think they care enough to give you a straight answer.
But that would mean that they could actually like duplicate anything. So if he got like a watch or something, because obviously they're real enough to explode and destroy that super thick rope. So he could get like something really expensive and valuable and then make a shadow clone and duplicate the object and keep the copy.
I mean, his clothes duplicate.
It's true. What happens if the shadow clone takes its jacket off? Does the jacket disappear in a puff of smoke or stay real?
So something I remember when we were talking earlier. Just remember, chakra comes from the gods.
Oh, okay. So this is like a magical substance, anyways.
Right.
I thought chakra came from inside the person, the way it did in most stories.
Okay, so big spoiler for Naruto: the final goddess that they battle, we find out that her sons spread chakra through the human race, and she.
Jason's had enough.
Did he just leave because of chakra?
No. Sorry.
This is too ridiculous.
Her sons took chakra and had babies, and that spread chakra through the human race. And her ultimate goal has been to get all chakra back to the gods. She doesn't want the human race to have it anymore. So that's what the ultimate evil plan is.
That is
my understanding. So I guess it could have magical properties that I don't even understand. It's not just inner chi.
You're right. That takes it out of the realm of chi. And that's very interesting. It actually is mana at that point. It's from the gods.
But I don't know how the physical aspects of Naruto's or Boruto's bombs work. Either you could, whatever helps you sleep at night, just imagine.
You're the Naruto expert here, man.
Yeah, come on, make it make sense here.
The guy can turn into a shuriken way less than his body mass. What do you want?
That's true. So yeah, it should be mentioned. Explosive paper trumps massive, thick ropes that can crush new. Yes.
I was really thrown off by that new was way smaller. I'm like, is he smaller? Did he get smaller?
They actually mentioned
they do. They call it out like, no, he got smaller in his own dimension. I'm like, oh, thank goodness, because I thought they just like way blew that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This ends into a talking no jutsu that Jeremy likes to joke about, where they basically come face to face with class rep, and Boruto's, I believe you're a good person deep down. You've always been a good person and cared about us. And she calls for the monster to end it. Just end it. And it doesn't. It cuddles her instead. And he's like, oh, you're like its mom.
Such a weird scene.
It was really weird. I was just trying to keep up and follow what he was talking about next, because I'm like, okay, I can see where you get that, but I don't think you're smart enough to get that, Boruto. You haven't convinced me.
I don't understand how that broke the seal, but because her back, the tattoo on her back shatters, which also starts collapsing the dimension.
But I have so many questions that I know I will never get answers to in that whole thing, so I'm not even going to ask them.
And she starts to fall on the surface she's on, and then Boruto comes to her side and is like, no, we do this together. And then they climb on the back of the magical beast and they ride away. And,
you couldn't put it better than that. That's awesome.
And that's really what I was thinking when this scene happened. I was like,
I honestly thought I was watching the end of Neverending Story.
Exactly.
Right, thank you.
Exactly. Is this a flying woolly dog?
Did Miyazaki write the ending?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Let's jump on the back of my suicide bomb and ride
right back to your dimension.
It then drops them off and is like, hold on, I'm gonna go. I don't know why.
Yep.
And the portal closes before they get to it, and then Boruto's eye activates. He can see into the real world, and it, punches a hole into the dimension, and they all fall out.
I guess the fabric between space and time has vulnerabilities.
He literally punches where the hole was.
No. This is a Boruto special thing. This is not something any other character could have done.
He's like the Fawns, and this is a towel dispenser or something.
With his eye and why his eye changes. I have no idea why he's the chosen one. Seems a little coincidental that Naruto, who's the reincarnation of something special, has a son that also is the legendary chosen one. But whatever.
Maybe they're just that family line's just getting the attention of the gods.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, why not?
They come out, and the cops come, and they arrest Sumire, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, you're one criminal." And then all the other kids are like, "We should go home before we get in trouble." The end.
Well, wait, it's school.
I almost got away for it with if not for those rascally kids.
Okay, that's a stretch.
Oh yeah, it is. But
to be fair to this ending, this isn't the full end of the storyline. It does continue in the next episode a little bit, gives some more answers. Not enough. I'll little spoiler for episode 15. They jump a couple weeks ahead, and almost no one is talking about this. They're like, "Remember that crazy thing that happened? Oh well."
Another day at Ninja Academy.
A little upset. Some characters do get resolution though. So what I'm saying is I'm not going to base my review on this ending alone, because in the story wise, they're going to continue, whereas we, had to stop. Right. I don't think Boruto was clearly not acting in normal anime story blocks. So that will take us to the end finally. So let's give final reviews. Jason, hit us with it. Save us.
I'm going to give this a 2. I'm sorry. There were lots of parts I actually enjoyed in little chunks throughout the thing, but the execution was just done poorly. And I know it's a shonen, but I didn't feel endeared to any of the characters. Maybe Boruto, maybe Samari, Samadu.
Don't worry about it.
And that's about it. Yeah, I don't have a lot much more to say.
Yeah, we said a lot.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm actually going to give it a 2 as well. I do see it as above a 2, but it does not rank a 3 for me. So definitely 2 Bakas for all the same reasons, even if they are going to be kind of trying to recreate the formula, duplicate the parents, work from the legacy. These kids didn't strongly enough represent anything to give them their own identity. For the most part, there were a couple exceptions I saw, but for the most part, they just didn't stand out. And the events were very episodic, and definitely 2 Bakas.
I yesterday was ready to give this 1 Baka, and after watching a couple of the first story arc episodes of Naruto today, I am bumping it up to a 2 because that bar was set really low. But Naruto came a long way and got really good, especially that last story arc is awesome in Naruto, and Shippuden has really excellent moments. I know because those are the only ones I watched. And to take a huge step backwards is not okay. No. I get you trying to start fresh, but you also your characters are blander than they were. The world feels blander. This is not the legacy of Naruto that I wanted. My Hero Academia is. My Hero Academia sets a bar for how to tell a story in an exciting way and to move a story along briskly while also keeping character development at maximum. It's almost a shame the 2 shows are going up against each other side by side every week because it's obvious which one is better.
Yeah, if you only had one to watch, you would never know what else happened in Boruto.
Yeah, I do have to say that the movie I would give a 3 though.
Really selling it, Jerry.
If you have nothing better to do, you should watch it.
I'd probably give it a 4. The movie was the sequel that I wanted.
Really?
Because I got that fan, there's all my favorite characters doing their favorite things. There's Boruto and Sasuke doing combo attacks, which is it's such a beautiful fight. And then here's the next generation and him having the problems and doing it all tightly and quickly and really good.
Yeah, I think the big difference is that I have no foundation with the characters, and so judging it completely without any appreciation for that. Yeah.
And I think Naruto does its movies well, way better than Dragon Ball Z does for sure.
I can agree to that for sure.
But that's
I like the Beerus one.
I haven't seen that one.
It's okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's probably the best out of all the movies.
But we are going to wrap it up there. Guys, if you are a passionate Naruto fan and I messed up some lore and corrections need to be made, here's how you can reach us or share your opinion about Boruto, whatever you want to do. You go on our Twitter, @Baka Podcast, our email, theanimebakaclub@gmail.com, or leave a comment wherever you found this podcast, and we will reach out to you. We love hearing from you guys. We heard it got a comment not too long ago about one of Jeremy's essays. That was fantastic. We love that kind of stuff.
I'm amazed someone read it.
I know I am too.
Everybody was. And bravo to you, sir, if you are listening.
Yes,
absolutely.
You know who you
You're
are.
like our favorite right now. We are watching next Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, picked by Jason. I know you would think I would have picked this, but Jason chose it. So let's learn what D for Dragon stands for. This is about a
I know what it stands for.
regular working woman who comes across a magical dragon on a drinking binge one night, and the dragon decides to become her maid. And it's got great reviews. That probably didn't sell as well as it should, but that is really what happens.
And also, just as a disclaimer, this is probably not teenage or younger viewership ish, so careful out there.
What's it rated?
Does it show naughty things? Is that
It
It doesn't expose any parts, but it's got mature content.
Oh, okay.
It's got mature comedy. Everything's done for like. There's a lot of fan service done for comedy's sake. It is a comedy anime, and it uses female anatomy for jokes a lot.
That's fun.
Fair enough. Okay. With that, we will talk about big bouncing dragons next.
Sounds great.
Not big bouncing D's. Okay, I mean, stop.
Say goodbye.
Thanks for listening.
Goodbye, no jutsu.
Sayonara. No jutsu.
No jutsu.